All right, everyone. It's been about a year, but we are back. Good evening and welcome to Green White Checker TV. And we can legally and officially bring back our Area 51 DarkHorse IndyCar series. And we're kicking it off here tonight at Pocono Raceway. And so again, it's been a while. It's good to be back. It's gonna be interesting to see how everything goes, but we've got 100 laps here tonight at Pocono Raceway, and I'll be joined in just a moment by my partner in crime tonight will be Andrew Wood, kind of taking a break, putting his open wheel expertise on the side, but we'll be able to kind of pick his brain about all the things he knows about these open wheel cars because he is a very, very talented open wheel racer. So I'd say these guys are really lucky that he's in the booth tonight and not on track with these fellas. But yeah, so we've had a couple seasons. Our defending champion for this season is the number one of Bruno Miranda, and we will be having a 12-week season. Full schedule, no playoffs, no nothing like that, no green white checkers. It's just straight up Indy cars, one fast repair available. And this is our schedule for this season, kicking off tonight at Pocono, followed by Homestead. Donington Park is going to be an interesting one in 2 weeks' time. Then Michigan, Phoenix, Kentucky, and the second half of the schedule over at Nashville Superspeedway Auto Club, Las Vegas, Texas, New Hampshire, and of course finishing it off at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Gael, it's so nice to be with you again. IndyCar is back. It's been so long. We never thought we'd be back in this spot again after all the talks of what would happen in IndyCar's future with sim racing. We're back here with the fast cars. We're back at a fast track like Pocono. This is going to be awesome. And yes, I'm very much looking forward to the season. Number one, Bruno Miranda has been the one to beat. I took to the track last season, trying myself to go for a championship, off the cameras here. But he is definitely a fast guy. He's someone that cannot be overlooked, but we got a lot of fast guys in this league as well that will try their best to unseat him.
Yeah, well, I was saying you also got kind of Mr. TV Nick DeGroot. It feels like when the camera's on, Nick kind of just comes to the top. So I mean, you have to watch for Nick DeGroot. I mean, I know Craig Forsyth. He's a monster week in and week out. But then you got the guys that are always right there too, and maybe we don't talk about as often. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have the Charles Teeds, the Jim Herricks, Matt Wagner, of course. So he'd be mad if I don't say his name in there. But yeah, I mean, Eric Peterson. There's a lot of really good talent. It really just kind of depends on how the luck kind of falls on some of these deals. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of learning again for me. Obviously, we have a lot of in-car adjustments these cars can make, and that's where I'm going to really lean on you, Andrew, because I know you kind of know, okay, if they do this or that to the front and rear ARBs, the weight jackers, what it'll do. And of course, having a lot of fuel mixture adjustment could really come into play for these races. Sounds like tonight should be right around 25, 26 laps on full rich. So expecting a 3-stop race under scheduled kind of strategy. But of course, a caution could throw a wrench into all those plans. So it's going to be fun to see how it's all shaking out. It does follow the IndyCar rules. So obviously the initial start will be double file. Every restart after that will be single file control by the leaders. And the lap cars will restart where they are on track, so there's no fallback to the end of the line like in NASCAR or anything like that. It's going to really potentially be pretty interesting to see how the kind of the strategy is going to be for those that maybe do get trapped a lap down at tracks like this.
Yeah, Pocono is definitely one of those tracks where it's preferred to start up front if possible, just because it is kind of difficult to pass once you're in that draft lock situation where if the setup is a little tight and you're not on top of your tools, you might have to, take a huge dive bomb to get by some cars. But some of these guys in the mid pack, like around the 8th, 9th, 10th area, you can guarantee they'll be trying to save fuel, trying to stretch out that 25, 26 laps you were mentioning. So looks like qualifying's over here. And as I mentioned, Bruno Miranda picking up where he left off, and he's on pole position.
Yeah, but I was like not wanting to kind of not wanting to kind of rest on what he did last season, going to kick it off right off the bat. So saying with that, let's go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight. We can show where all those drivers are. And yeah, we've got a Brazilian front row here with Bruno Miranda up on pole. Next to him, Edson Santos there in second by only 0.03 of a second. We mentioned Eric Peterson, Charles Teed, teammates of DarkHorse Racing there in row number 2. Then Nick DeGroot, Jim Herrick, Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, and they're making me feel smart right now, though, because right there, pretty much all those guys I talked about qualified in the top 8 here. They got AJ Hobson, Michael Matta. I saw a fan of Michael there. He's going to start in 10th. And also want to mention in that, yeah, if you guys are watching, by all means, let us know who your favorite driver is, who you want to see, get updates on. We're always willing to kind of focus on those guys, give some more attention to them. That's why we're here, is for you. So definitely reach out to us and let us know who you want to see and what you want to know. We'll do everything we can to make it happen. 11th on back, you got Gary Laverne in 11th, Jeff Heisong in 12th, 13th, Chris Stouffer, Alan Morera in 14th, William Swenson, Dan Morera, Andrew McMurray, Michael Carrillo, Elmer Joseph, Jim Brooks. Then you got Rick Sanchez, Brad Adams, Bill Colley, Joseph DeCiro in 24th. So looks like 24 cars here to take the grid tonight. Everybody's kind of lined up facing their pit wall. And yeah, we're about to get this season underway here.
Yeah, just a few comments here. I'm a little surprised at the likes of Chris Stouffer, Alan Morera down there in the teens starting positions. I know these guys are quick around here, and they're pretty handy when it comes to Pocono. So it's probably just a bad lap that put them down there. And when I say a bad lap, it's a 10th slower. So just having a 10th off means you just kind of had a late turn in somewhere, did something a little wrong, or didn't have the tool set quite right. So it's crazy that we're here at the start of the season, and the top 12 is spread out by just a tenth to the nose there.
Yeah, so we already got competition between, say in the chat, that's Matt Wagner versus Michael Matta right now. That's kind of what everybody's kind of poking on right now in the chat. So, and yeah, so for you, Hondo, say, I don't know if you got recruited by any of these IndyCar drivers here tonight, but this is going to be one of those races. If we do go caution free and green, you got to make sure that you get these cars all the way top to the end of fuel, because these things will be right on the edge of that fuel window, like we mentioned with that 100-lap race here tonight. So no pressure tie in the pit stalls there, Hondo.
You know, this is one of those races that could go caution free, or it could be caution after caution after caution sort of thing. And typically these first races of the season bring some sort of mix, you know, where you don't really know what's going to happen. So it's quite possible that we could have a green flag the whole way, or it could be something totally different.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I mean, usually the first race there's always that little bit, I feel like, of everybody's got amped up a little bit, that extra excitement. And especially at Pocono, I mean, there's a lot of potential. I mean, turn 3 obviously comes at you pretty quick on exit. And I mean, the thing I think is going to be obviously the topic of the season is going to be dirty air. Is these things want that nice and clean air on the front wings of these cars. So you're going to see everybody really staggered out, trying to find anywhere, be it up by the wall, up on the yellow line. They're going to want to find that clean air. So it's going to be fun to see what the strategy is. Do we see any fuel-saving strategy? Do we just see everybody kind of go balls to the wall? I say if fuel strategy comes into play, I'd be watching that 99 of Craig Forsyth, but we'll find out here. Got 100 laps tonight. Again, Andrew, really, really glad to have you back here with me again tonight. And yeah, we're back. IndyCar's back with Area 51. I'll also, of course, got to thank DarkHorse for partnering up with us as the green flag is out and we are underway to kick off the 2024 season.
Yeah, green flag is out. We are back broadcasting the fast IndyCars of Pocono. And as you can see in the mid-pack, we are already 3 wide. A couple of these guys, like I mentioned, that had some pretty rough qualifying moments trying to find their way forward a bit. It looks like it's pretty clean through turn 1.
Yeah, made it through turn 1 nice and clean. That's always what you want to see. Now they got to try to make sure they give each other some room through the tunnel turn. That's always a scary turn for these guys. And so far through the main pack, looks like everybody's good, and it looks like we're going to get through clean. So far so good as they head into 3 for the first time.
Yeah, one thing you got to realize is that there's a lot of cold tires going on the first lap, and some of these guys that may not have raced these cars in quite a bit of time may forget something like that. So, yeah, it looks like we're through the first lap clean. No issues at all. It looks like we're starting to have a little bit of a breakout for the top 5.
Yeah, you saw there Bruno leads lap number 1, but Eric Peterson wasting no time. He's going to take that draft, use that slingshot, and then jump right around the 1, not the 7. But here comes Bruno. He's going to come right back by. And this isn't them being over aggressive with each other. Say for the NASCAR folks, you kind of expect, stay nose to tail. That's the way you want to draft here. With these Indy cars, really the faster way is to kind of do that. I always been calling it the leapfrog draft, where you let the one guy in front, you pull a draft, you slingshot past them, and then kind of rinse and repeat when you can. And I think that's what's happening right now. Is I think Bruno and Eric are just trying to keep the pace of this race up.
Yeah, Michael Matta just hit the back of Jim Herrick out of turn 3 there. Not a lot of damage, but yeah, you can see that Chris Stouffer is really trying to pick up from his bad qualifying in 13th. You could see that was not a qualifying he was happy with, because now he's all the way up to P, I believe, 7 now, 6.
Yeah, he's looking at that number 61 doesn't look too bad, so I think he may have got away with it, but that's always cause for concern. But you're right, though. Chris Stouffer, he is on a charge already, 7 spots gained in just those 2 laps so far. And, I mean, look at that. He is running that top side right now. You see everybody else, for the most part, kind of committed to the bottom. But, yeah, he wants to get that track position back in quickly. And, again, catching now quickly one of the best in Area 51, and that's Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of the bottom part of the top 10 has kind of decided that they're just going to kind of hang out and see how this race goes. Not a lot of big movement there, but some of these guys in the team starting spots, like I mentioned, they look like they want to move their way forward.
Yeah, right now definitely Stouffer is the highest climber by far, as you see right there. I think that was Charles Teed taking a look, and he's going to grab 3rd here now, right behind his teammate Eric Peterson. Actually, maybe looking on his teammate Peterson there too for a second. He is going all the way down to the rumble strips there in 3, and now he's going to see if there's teamwork, or if they're going to try to kind of again draft off of each other. But right now, yeah, Stouffer by far the highest climber with those 7 spots gained. And saying right now, it looks like we've got the fan club of Michael Mata there in the 61 though. So they're coming in quick here and often on the YouTube chat here.
Yeah, it looks like Michael Mata's got pretty much hanging around where he started for the most part. He started in P10 up to P9, so perhaps he's engaging a fuel safe strategy right now. He may just trying to be feeling out how the whole field is acting around him, and then making the moves where he can later on in the stint.
Yeah, so right now, so you see Charles Teed, while we're talking about that, he got to the front. He's going to lead the lap, I think the second lap now in that number 50 machine. And then it looks like Bruno's kind of settled in here for the moment. Maybe they've kind of decided, okay, now maybe Bruno wants to save a little bit here. And that's another thing, too, I feel like, as well, is these guys, they're not going to go full send from lap 1 to lap, let's say, 25, 26 to pit. There's going to probably be a little bounce where, okay, I'm going to push for a few laps, maybe back down, save a little bit, and just try to get that balance. And so I think we'll see a little bit of that. But again, the one that I always watch for fuel saving is this guy right here, Craig Forsyth. He's usually kind of Mr. Fuel Save, and he's in a really nice pocket right now. He's just outside the top 10 and 11th, but he's got about a half a second between himself and Jeff Heisong behind him, but he's got a nice toe off of Matt Wagner. So I don't know if we can, I'm going to see if we can spy and see what his settings are. I don't think they'll actually tell us what they are in the car, but I'd be willing to guess it's probably map 5 if he can get away with it.
Yeah, the map 5 ordeal works pretty good on these fast tracks, especially when there's not a lot of lower speed mid corner situations. You're kind of able to kind of lift a little early on the throttle and then get back on it pretty fast. And as long as you're in the draft, you should be able to suck right back up into it again. For this P5 position here, he's been going hard at Edson Santos this whole entire last lap and a half or so. They almost had some contact about a lap ago, and Chris, he really wants to get to the front as soon as he can.
Yeah, it's a really nice looking paint scheme too on that 20 car. So that's always one of the fun things too, is in sim racing to see what these guys come up with. And I say it doesn't look like much at the very front of the car, but then you got some really nice colorful stuff going on around the engine cover area. So, but yeah, so far so good. These guys have been, like I said, fighting hard, but still racing really, to me, it seems really respectful. I mean, look right there. Look at Jim Herrick. He is running almost up by the wall there. Again, just trying to find that clean air, as I say, that contact.
Yep.
And we got a couple cars up and over. Caution is out, and Edson is one of those. And that's commentator's curse number 1 for me. And it looks like the other car involved, I believe,
I think it was AJ Hobson.
Yeah, it is AJ Hobson. Both these guys trying to limp this thing back to the pits here. So we got to go back and we will check out our first replay of the night, our first caution of the season. And man, that car is already struggling. So let's go back, and I think it's just that 3 wide out of turn number 3. And I think it may have, yeah, it was still from the inside. Then the 4 Hobson, and then I think on the outside, just really nowhere he could go. Try to get a better angle here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where Hobson is just trying to find clean air right in the middle there. He can't go high, he can't go low. He has to find room in the middle, but unfortunately Stouffer pushes up just a tiny bit at the exit of turn 3, which kind of closes that hole. And unfortunately, it seems that Hobson just was way too aggressive trying to get a run down the front straightaway, perhaps, and there was just no room there.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of a blink kind of a thing where you see it happen, like, I'm not sure, and so you kind of react to that. So, yeah, unfortunately, it looks like those are the 2 involved in this first incident. I say again, looking at it, looks like those are. I think they're also possibly the number 40, Jim Herrick. I think he had a little piece of it as well. But on the right now, looking at the car, it doesn't look too bad. We'll jump back live here though, because now it's going to be all about pit strategy, and I do think we'll see everybody hit pit road. But again, this is what almost coming. This is coming to lap 10 now, and everybody's pitting. Actually, Bruno's going to stay out in the 1 car, so he's going off strategy to everybody else. Everybody else is going to hop on in here. So maybe Bruno trying to go off cycle a little bit in that number 1, and so yeah. So we'll let these guys pit here. We'll see what the strategy looks like. I mean, I don't think there'll be much strategy with these cars. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel. You know, we'll see if anybody's able to gain some spots.
I'm actually looking at AJ Hobson has managed to limp it all the way around to pit road. And he'll probably get that fast repair, and he'll be good to go, starting from the back.
That's really impressive. He's able to. I mean, you can see
he's on 2 wheels
as they look at the skew that he's got on that thing, but he's wheeling that thing back to the pit. So hats off to him there. And then I believe Edson had to take no, actually Edson's rolling too here.
Edson is rolling, yes.
And so I think everybody's going to stand the lead lap here after all that cycles through. So hats off to both those guys to somehow keeping those cars rolling. I really honestly didn't expect to see that happen. So yeah, well done on their parts to keep them going here. So Hobson's is in, he's already rolling out, and yeah, so basically it's going to be everybody in minus now Bruno Miranda.
I mean, Edson was upside down crossing the start finish line, so for him to wheel that back to the pit lane again is pretty remarkable. But I guess it just, the wings were messed up and he was able to somehow drive it back, whereas Hobson was missing a couple wheels there, and he was able to wheel it back. So, yeah, good for those guys to have just one quick unfortunate incident turn into something that actually may not be too bad for them in the long run.
Yeah, the only thing that I could see is this could change, obviously, your race strategy from here on, because, I mean, at this point, Andrew, if you're in that situation, you've burned your 1 fast repair, do you say, okay, I'm going to change the way I approach this thing now, or do you just kind of say, all right, I'm just going to still run my race and kind of see how it shakes out?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person, really. Someone who really wants to win the race, or someone who wants to, be a little more careful, may go right for that fuel safe strategy, no matter what it takes, and just kind of make sure that the whole pack stays together, make your moves smartly, and everything. Whereas some of these guys wanted to get to the front as fast as they possibly could. It may not have worked out for them in the long run, but as long as they kind of keep themselves in the mix and also drive carefully at the same time, it's possible for them to get back into the podium or top 5 position.
The other surprise here is nobody topped off on the 1 to go. I really expected to see at least somebody jump in, just get that little extra drop of fuel. Again, you never know. The only thing now is, again, we talked about the fuel window being right at that edge of a 3-stopper. So now, obviously, it's no problem. It'll be a 3-stopper from here. I don't think anybody could 2-stopper from here, because that would require these guys to go, I'll say math never my strong suit. I'll say they would have to
about
go
29 laps.
Yeah, it'd be about 30-ish per. I'm not going to say never, because that's Craig's bread and butter. So this will be where we watch. Does anybody try to go full fuel save? But this also now going to be our first restart here, and again, single file restart. No lap car, so that's not going to come into play, but it's basically Bruno's going to have control, and then just really then my always concern is the accordion behind. Does everybody kind of make sure nobody jumps one another on the restarts? You can pass to the outside. However, of course, if you pass before the start finish line on the inside, you do get iRacing penalties for that. So This is always where I get nervous because I feel like with the long straightaway like this, it's always real tempting, and it just, yeah, things kind of funnel out pretty quick.
And just a quick mention for the Michael Mafia that's hanging out in our group chat. He is still P9. So hanging at the bottom of the top 10 there. We'll see how he goes at the restart.
So I have to keep that the Michael Mafia. I'm on board with that one. So pace car is in. Again, Bruno has full control here. So once he decides, then there he goes. He is back and underway. And he gets a great jump here. So now we're going to kind of keep watching as the field starts to go by. And there's the first checkup. You see a handful down on the inside here trying to avoid the incident. Had one go way low and definitely pass a few cars. So we'll have to be careful and see if that's going to, if we see any penalties here on that restart. And again, if they give the place back, I could see the admins maybe cutting some slack. But that was the concern I had going into it.
Yeah, I saw AJ Hobson just going for it at the restart there. He saw the checkup, but everyone seemed to be pretty good here. Everyone else is clear. I don't see any incidents. I do see Elmer Joseph got high in turn 2, kind of blocking up the exit of 2 there, but I think everybody got through okay.
Yeah, so far so good. We'll see if there's any quick. Yeah, there's the Michael Crew. That was the purple car I saw. Kind of jumping by a couple guys, and so unfortunately, that is going to be, I believe, that stop and go penalty for him. Actually, it might be stop and hold, I believe. So that's the risk, though. It's like you want to play it safe, but at the same time, though, you still have to make sure you back it down and don't pass those guys on entry. Otherwise, it's going to be a penalty.
Bruno Miranda is being challenged big time by Charles T for the lead. Charles does not want Bruno Miranda to lead this race anymore. So we'll see if he can manage to find a way by. Bruno Miranda still leads out of turn 3.
And it looks like the 29's already out of pit road, so that's not bad. He's still on the lead lap, so that's not too bad of a situation. He can definitely hold that spot from here. But yeah, I've never known Charles as one to kind of just roll and sit. So yeah, I don't think we'll see T just roll on the tire tracks. But as I said, actually, caution is back out here. And I think it may
Alan
be...
Moreira is upside down.
Oh, yeah. Gary Lovern involved as well. And, yeah, that car's still bouncing. Trying to get... No, so he's not going to have the luck on this one. He's going to have to take a tow. But caution's going to come back out here. Let's go back. We'll try to see where this occurred. So it looks like... Yeah, it looks like it was definitely Alan and Gary here. So we'll pick it up here off of 3 down the backstretch. Make sure I'm focused on the right driver, which, yes, we are. And then we'll back it down once they... Oh, they just kind of met in the middle there. Maybe a little bit of netcode, and they kind of actually start getting stuck into each other. And, oof, that's a ride for Alan here.
Yeah, I can't say much about that. That's a very kind of bizarre incident, almost as if they kind of connected just by being too close to one another. That's a very tough incident to call any fault by someone. I think the 2 drivers just kind of got very close, and yeah, that internet netcode strikes again, and they just touched wheels, and it turned into a much more severe incident than it should have been.
Yeah, so unfortunately, kind of netcode has that from time to time. So yeah, unfortunately for Alan, he does have to take a tow, so he's going to be basically dropping a lap. You see the 32 already on pit road here. I believe the pit road hadn't been opened yet, but again, he just wants to get that fast repair taken care of nice and quick here. We'll see. I'll say now this is going to be interesting for Bruno because it was only 5 laps, but again, at this rate, I mean, he can probably only go another 10 or so laps. So what we'll do is we'll watch to see what pit road does here, and then after that, we'll step away for just a moment because we got to show off one of our sponsors that is going to be doing some more prizes this season. That is 40 Racewear, so you'll see plenty of those cars sponsored here on the track. And last season was racing shoes for the season champions. This season we're going to be shaking it up, and I don't think they being me / the other admins, haven't formally decided on what the criteria is going to be. We're leaning towards maybe a raffle for those that make most of the races, or even possibly maybe least incident points per race, things of that nature. So not officially set. We got a lot of fakes going on pit road so far. No takers yet. I think Joseph DeCiro said, I'm done playing the games. I'm going to hop in. So yeah, here he comes. So yeah, so just a few cars hitting pit road. So we'll step away for one moment and we'll show off our great sponsor and partner with 40 Racer. So stay tuned.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, so we are back. Lights are off of the pace car. And yeah, so right now, say again, so the interesting storylines here now, I think, is going to be, Andrew, is going to be the fuel strategies right now. Bruno Miranda still yet to pit. Charles Teed in second, all the way down to 16th of AJ Hobson, pitted on lap number 9. And then Edson Santos on back from 17th on back. They pitted on lap number 15. So we've got 3 different fuel strategies here now that could come into play. Again, I'm curious to see, could anybody try to pull a 2-stopper out? I mean, we've seen crazier things before. Of course, it just depends on how the race unfolds. But I do believe here and Indy are probably the 2 tracks where you can pit without losing a lap. So I feel like that kind of might change some potentials too. And actually, I'm looking for Craig Forsyth. So he's taking a nap here. He's got to catch back up to the field because they're about to get going. And I think he's just trying to save every ounce of fuel he can in that 99 car. So I'm wondering if, again, he may be starting to do some strategy. I'm going to actually spy on him here real quick.
Yeah, one thing I'll say on the fuel save is that it sounds all well and good to save the fuel that you can, but as you get later on to the race, if it goes green the whole way, you need a partner. You can't be by yourself out there trying to save 27, 28 laps of fuel. So if it's going to work, you got to pit with one of your friends here, and looks like we're going green.
Yeah, pace car is off. We're going to watch out the back of Bruno Miranda here as he grabs the gear and gets back going. And this is also one of those ones, you got to make sure you're back in field map 1, because if you leave it on that caution field map, which I may or may not have done before, it doesn't always go very well. And we got a quick yellow. I was watching off the back, and sure enough, we had a little bit of contact further back, and I believe it may, I don't know if it was Gary Levin. I don't think he was back up to them. Well, that wing looks a little bit askew.
There was a check up there going to start finish. Looks like Gary Levin had a little bit of an issue there.
Yeah, and that's my always concern with these restarts is it's really easy for those hiccups to happen. So we'll jump back here. We're going to focus on Gary. We'll zoom in even a little bit closer on him here. And let's say, because what happens is just that accordion, someone will try to go a little bit, then they'll back it down, and they'll go again. And you'll see it right here. We'll back it down here. I think what we'll most likely see is Gary's going to probably get into the back of the 29 of Michael Carrillo. And again, it's just, that's the ebb and flow. You see how close Michael got to the car in front of him. Gary tries to miss him, but then unfortunately,
he was so close to missing it. But I would like you to check out AJ Hobson's restart. He played everything perfectly. He wants to get back to the front as fast as he possibly can. He sifted and he sorted his way right back up into, I think, P11 now, I believe.
Yeah, so we'll watch that number 4 here on this restart, and we'll get another better angle of it. And yeah, look at all those guys kind of hanging down at the bottom here. He gets 2 right off the bat, then gets Jim. Well, we'll see if he completes the pass on Jim before the yellow. At that point, so yeah, I think he got 2 right off the bat there. And so now we're back to that strategy here on fuel once more. Everybody's working on catching the pace car here. Bruno Miranda's just about got there. The 32 of Gary Lovern is back on pit road, and I believe he had already used the 1 fast pair, so this might be either a really lengthy stop or could potentially be a terminal one. We'll have to keep an eye on C as the field is back. And more fakes, yes, except for Chris Stouffer. Chris says, I'm going to pit here, and I'm not opposed to this here. We talked about that 25 laps of fuel per tank here. We're on lap 20. So we'll restart, I believe, on 22 as these only do the 1 quick yellow as it's a track bigger than 2 miles. So I'm kind of liking the strategy here by Chris because now he can go a fair bit longer than those guys out in front of him. The only ones he'll be similar to are going to be those that pitted the last yellow that stayed out here.
You remember I mentioned the teammate situation. Well, Dan Marrera also pitted, and he is on that team with Chris Stouffer. So it's possible that they could work together if they want to do a fuel save down the road. You pit together and you take turns kind of doing a swap draft / you sit behind me for 5 laps and then I'll sit behind you for 5 laps and try and save fuel that way until it gets to the point where the rest of the field comes out and you could do the big fuel save behind everyone else. So I think this might be a play here. It is still a little tight for the fuel save. You really, really need kind of a pack to hang behind to make sure that you do it effectively. But I do see 2 teammates doing it, not someone just kind of going rogue and hoping they can save the amount of fuel they need.
Yeah, no, I was saying, yeah, if the 40 racer wasn't enough of a giveaway on the side of the cars, so you look at kind of the matching paint schemes, 1 silver, 1 purple. Yeah, it kind of gives a little hint these guys might be doing some strategy together. So right now we still have 22 of the 24 on track. Alan Marrero was the last guy to kind of do some flips on the front stretch, and I believe he's actually the beneficiary of this caution, and that should put that number 21 car back on the lead lap, I believe, waiting for timing to cycle up and update for me. But I'm pretty sure Alan's back on the lead lap once more in that number 21. So that's definitely a good break for Alan here. And unfortunately, though, at the expense of the 32 of Gary Lovern.
Yeah, I really would like to get a green flag run going here. We're only 20 laps into this thing, and I feel like we've been here for 45 minutes already. So these guys will get it sorted after a while. And it's definitely an early season jitters kind of thing. We definitely have a lot of the returning drivers from previous seasons, even drivers that have kind of shown up once or twice trying to get their footing in the league and everything. But the first race of the season, as I mentioned in the pre-race broadcast there, it poses all sorts of different concerns and uncertainties of driving around people that you have driven around in the past but are still just getting used to, and putting yourself out on a 2-mile oval like this. Well, I use oval loosely as it's more of a triangle. But yeah, if you're trying to get used to racing with everybody again, it might take a little bit of finesse to figure out how you can advance forward and back. And it looks like some of these restart issues need to be resolved, but I think it'll be fixed after a while.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure Matt Wagner and some of the admins have already probably put their admin hat on. It's like, hey guys, we got to make sure that we're not trying to basically don't go until the car in front of you goes. That way, make sure we don't run over each other in these restarts. And it's one of those things. Like I said, it's just they got to kind of build that routine, that rhythm back again. It's single file restarts. I mean, I've been in my fair share of them, and I've seen a lot of similar ones, not just with the open wheel cars, but with some NASCAR open or full body cars as well. So it's not the easiest thing to do. I did notice a few drivers top off there in the 1 to go, including the 5, the 110, and the 69. I don't know though if they pitted the first time around, so I'm a little nervous about potential pit penalties for those guys. So, but now, like I said, we got to kind of cross our fingers here because we're back to another restart here, led by that one of Bruno Miranda, who again has yet to pit here, starting lap number 22. So we'll have to see how far can he go before he has to pit in that number 1 machine.
I'm watching Chris Stouffer on this restart back in P17. He is moving forward. He wants to get kind of in that mid-pack where he can save the amount of fuel he needs in case he's on that strategy.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You got to try to get what you can quickly while everybody's bunched up, and then because it just becomes exponentially more difficult to make those passes.
Yep, I'm watching Chris Stouffer. He moves over to the left side to give Morera the draft, so he wants Morera right next to him in case that's the fuel safe strategy. So you can see them that they're both now one behind the other. Stouffer's making another move into turn 3, and Morera should follow. All things working out pretty well.
Yeah, so now can he clear? He does. He's going to pick up the draft of Edson Santos ahead of him. Edson's trying to work on Bill Colley. Oh, and I think the 5 of Richard Sanchez, I think he's just had a moment. Oh, yeah, he's stuck up against the outside wall. Alan Morera involved as well. Alan's going to try to do a loop around here, but we stay green because they're far enough back here. And now Alan's able to do a loop around. He's going to grab a gear. But we're going back up front because we're 3 wide here entering the tunnel turn.
Yeah, I'm back here watching the Stouffer Morera show. I think they're working on something here, unbeknownst to everybody else. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, they're catching up to that front pack. The front pack's pretty stacked, nose to tail everywhere. So everyone's getting a draft for the most part.
And so right now we have 2 now on pit road, the 5 and the 32. As I haven't had a chance to go back and see what happened on that one, but unfortunately, I say it was towards the back half, which unfortunately, I say doesn't bring out a yellow, which again, I'm sure some of those were hoping for. And you mentioned Stouffer and Morera. Last time by, Stouffer ran the fastest lap of a race, 41.41, about 2/10 quicker than our leaders here as he's working on picking off another one here, and that's that 20 car. So like you said, he's wasting no time trying to get everything he can early.
Yeah, you always run into a danger running in this mid-pack too, because you have to make sure that you're making smart moves, but you're keeping your momentum going for the fuel save, if that's what they're going for.
Yeah, and I think momentum is actually the best thing to mention there is, yeah, these things are very, very momentum based. As they see one, I think it was Craig Forsyth actually, we just saw it dropping down to the bottom, trying to sneak around. I believe that's Jim Herrick to his outside. Can't quite do it, and you see right there on the bottom here, that's the 21. He's going to stay to the bottom here and let the leaders on by. Let's say, but again, it's going to get tight here through the tunnel turn, so hopefully everybody's able to pick their way through.
Ooh, Michael Mata Mafia almost had some
got nervous
injury there, but looks like he made it through, and now he's dropped a couple spots from our last check, but he's still hanging out just outside the top 10.
Yeah, so really, if you're in the main pack, I mean, you're in contention. You never know. You can see how everybody's starting to jump around, move around,
3
trying to
wide
find that
to
spot.
turn 1. Looks like Jim Herrick was trying to hold off Forsyth and Peterson, and the beneficiary is there, AJ Hobson. He's managed to claw his way back up to almost the top 7, side by side with Craig Forsyth right now.
Oh, we got another driver in trouble. That's Bill Colley, but he's taking a quick tow as well. And I think that it involved Dan Morera. Dan's going to try to limp this thing back to the pit road on the 26 car. But that thing is, I don't think this one's going to wind up being a tow, unfortunately, for Dan. So I'm going to try to take a quick look to see what happened to Dan on this one, if I can find it, that is. So I see Bill showing that he had his incident. Oh, and right into the path of Dan.
We have a caution now on track.
Oh, yeah, caution is out. So we'll go back. We'll kind of get the finish of this one, see what happened to Bill, and it looks like it was contact with the 20 machine, and that was once again Edson Santos. So as they head into turn number 1 here, and it just looks like a little bit of a fight for the same real estate here. We'll see him kind of duck in here, and maybe a little net code, but yeah, they just kind of were going for the same real estate, and then there's nothing Dan can do. He's committed to the top there, and then yeah, that's where the yellow comes out. And I think the caution may have still wound up coming out for Dan, just trying to limp that thing back to pit road. Depends on where iRacing detects the caution. So we'll we'll speed it up here and we'll take a quick look, because I don't think anything else happened. And so you can see he's still trying to limp this thing back.
It actually looks like Alan Morera's slow car sort of created a bottleneck of sorts through turn 3 and down the front straightaway, where people were a little faster than the other, just trying to stay out of the dirty air. And I think Alan's damaged car just caused people to check up a little bit and get a little crazy going to turn 1.
Yeah, I was saying because he saw Alan there, or Dan was already at that point towed back to pit road, so not 100% sure on the cause formally of the yellow. I think it might be maybe actually when William Swens. I'm gonna go back one more time here, and I think this is actually going to be what the caution was officially thrown for. iRacing sees this the 69 car going around the car of Dan Morera. And so basically, as he passes them, as the camera turns, you'll see, there's the yellow lights showing. So I think just iRacing decided, okay, there's a car down low and not safe. So what this does, though, is this pretty much throws us now. I mean, this has got to be perfect for Bruno Miranda. I don't think he could have gone too much further on fuel, even with the cautions we've had early on. This is caution number 4.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that was probably about the best that Bruno could have hoped for, being the only driver basically that didn't pit. However, remember that strategy you talked about from Christopher? He's going to stay out here and pick up that track position right back.
Yeah, track position at Pocono is big because, like I mentioned in the pre-race, it's very tough to get your way to the front without doing something a little dicey. So Stouffer is gone on the fuel safe strategy. At this point, he's probably thinking that there might be another 2 or 3 cautions or something that might put him in a good spot to be right on the center off strategy, and it may work out for him. But unfortunately, he's lost his partner in crime, Dan Morera.
Yeah, so Dan right now is going to have to wait for that tow to complete before he can get back out there. So that's why you see that 26, still sitting there. And pit strategy is a little interesting here as well. I'm seeing a lot of 8-second stops, but then I look at Nick DeGroot, 5.5 seconds. So he went fuel only in that number 89 car. Decided tire wear is not that bad. He wants to just get some track position back. And then obviously, like you mentioned, the Mata Mafia, 6.5 seconds for the number 61. So I'm thinking the same thing here. Probably a fuel only stop out of that number 61. So a few drivers opting to go a little different here on the strategies. And then Dan Morera, I got to applaud his just he's staying after it here. He's back on track now. And also Alan Morera is once again got the lucky dog. He's back on the lead lap once more, I believe. And he's still missing the left front corner wing
repaired. Yeah, unfortunately you can't really drive Pocono missing half your wing, and unfortunately, like I mentioned before, I feel like that might have been the reason for
I think you're right.
The slow feeling on the caution there.
But look at that left side pod too. Part of it's missing. You can see the other part flapping a little bit. So yeah, this car's got some damage to repair. Hopefully the front wing definitely repairable. That's no problem here. I don't know because the more I'm looking at this car, there's a lot more damage to the left side than I was expecting. It's kind of the rear quote unquote fender, I guess you say, the one in front of the rear tires. Driver's side there is missing as well. So there's definitely some stuff that car would like to have back on top of it. So.
Well, can you help me try and figure out what that livery is? Is it like polka dots, or is it like candy, licorice candy of sorts? I'm a little lost on what's going on here because I've not seen Alan drive that car.
It's like polka dotty, but it's kind of, they're rounded square polka dots, and that car actually looks like they've gotten some body parts back on it pretty quickly. I don't think it was a fast repair, but it's already looking a lot better. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what his pace looks like. Like you mentioned, Christopher with the lights off the pace car, he's going to net the lead of this race here, and he's going to have Edson Santos, and Edson pitted on lap 15 compared to lap 19 for Chris, and then now it's lap 28 for pretty much everybody on back. And then my timing and scoring showing Jim Brooks last pitting on lap 9. However, with him sitting in 14th, pretty sure that's not accurate, so I'm guessing based on where he is on track, also probably on lap 28 as well. So kind of an odd one there for the 51 car, but timing and scoring sometimes likes to be a little bit odd for me.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Chris does on this restart, because if he is on a fuel save, he is going to probably let some friends go and maybe sit behind him for a little bit. But if you see him dive down the middle of the track, I think he wants to race. Even though it's only lap 30 and there's still a way to go, there's always a sense of pride at Pocono where you feel like you know what you're doing. So let's see how he acts on this restart. If he restarts pretty much in a straight line, or if he tries to go for a little defensive.
So green flag back out. We got a good view out the back. You can see again a little bit of a stack up, but so far so good. And I did see something happen, I believe, with William Swenson, because he had a bit of a moment coming to the green, but looks like he's rolling. Dan's actually back on pit road now, so not sure about that. But so far, a good start here. And ooh, that was close by Edson, almost kissing the wall there off of one.
Yep, Stouffer did the little bit of a snake. He kind of went halfway from what I was thinking, so he wants to stay out front. He just needs a friend to help him save a little bit of fuel, but he may not even be concerned so much about that right now.
Yeah, I see right away, too, jumping right back to the inside line here off of that 20 car. He's going to take the lead again out of 3. And, I mean, so what about the thought of if you can just kind of tag into, let's say, the back of second place, be it Edson, be it Nick, do you try to get back behind them and maybe just cruise in like a map 3 or 4 if you can and just draft off them? Or do you think that just kind of puts you as a sitting duck to then, let's say, for a Nick DeGroot to blow by 2 for 1?
I mean, that's what I would do. If I were Stouffer and I needed to save a tiny bit of fuel, I would just get behind 1 or 2 cars and sit there, because Pocono is one of those tracks where you could just kind of coast into a lot of these corners, keep the momentum going, and be good to go. But some guys like to just lead races and command any sort of dominance they can, so perhaps the fuel save is not such a huge concern right now, especially after we've had all these yellows.
Yeah, so we're now officially 1/3 of the way through lap 33 here, starting now. As you see now, Edson Santos going to jump down there, and then now Charles Teed ran the fastest lap of the race at 41.26. And obviously right now, Chris is the highest climber with plus 11, plus 12, depending where he is on track, plus 12 right now at the lead. Another driver that's moving up, though, Joseph DeCiro started a pretty much shotgun here. He's up 8 spots into 16th, and that's kind of what Joseph does in these races. He just kind of stays out of trouble, tries to keep that car nice and clean to the end. And I've seen him in the races I used to broadcast prior to last year. He would get some really good results out of it just by keeping that nose clean. So it'll be fun to see where Joseph ends up at the end of this one. But right now, you see, when we go and peek at that, Nick DeGroot, he found his way to the front. But yeah, nobody's content right now. Everybody wants to kind of leapfrog and maybe lead a lap or just try to get their nose in clean air here. Really, the first person I see sitting is, again, kind of for me, Mr. Fuel Save, Craig Forsyth.
Yeah, I can definitely tell the demeanor of these cars up front that no one wants to lead right now, so they're all in a fuel save mode for sure. Matt Wagner is getting a little bit feisty in P6 here. He was kind of like dodging left and right a little bit, trying to find his spot. Craig is definitely saving a little bit, but AJ Hobson, as expected, is coming through this field. He wants to be up front.
Yeah, I don't think AJ is much of a fuel saver. He likes to go, and he's definitely one of those drivers that likes to be on the aggression versus on the back foot. So, yeah, like you mentioned, who's going to react and how. And actually, I think it was Edson and AJ who were both in that first incident, I believe it was, and they're both back up right in that top 5 window here. So, both drivers recovering nicely. Yeah,
I raced with AJ at the Indy 500 special event we did for Area 51 last week, and AJ was actually someone that I had predicted might be a little bit more crazy in terms of the swap draft and trying to make sure he's up front, but he actually worked pretty well with me, and there is a little bit of reserve in him where he kind of understands the idea of what's going on. He wants to be up front, but he understands that there is an extra sort of layer of strategy to all this, and he actually impressed me quite a bit. He's been in this league now for, I think, 4 or 5 seasons, and it's always impressive to try and put yourself out front, but I think AJ understands kind of there's a little bit more strategy to this than just kind of running laps out front, but he understands that he has to be out front as long as he possibly can to try and put himself in a good spot.
Yeah, exactly right. So the next thing I think is going to be, depending how this section of the race goes, is going to be that strategy we mentioned. So right now, again, kind of bouncing back and forth from the lead is that number 20. Again, last pitting on lap 15. Again, these cars do have a handful of fuel maps. Fuel map 1 for full rich, 5 for full lean under race conditions, and then map 8 for caution, where you can save the most fuel. However, even with the fuel map 8 under yellow, I feel like Edson pitting at 15 compared to 28 for these other guys, he's going to have to come in a fair bit sooner. Again, I mean, we're on 37 now, so he's at what, about 22 or so, 23 laps since he last pitted. So, I mean, what do you think? Maybe at most we can go about 5 more until he has to pit?
So is Edson the one longest out, or was Stouffer?
Edson
leader.
Yeah, Edson pitted at 15, Stouffer at 19. So Edson should be the first to hit pit road under green flag conditions.
That'll definitely give us good indication of how many laps we can do for all this green flag lap, because I believe this is probably getting close to the longest we've run without any yellow. Especially with all these guys running a fuel save out front. Oh, there's almost a wreck. Yeah, Andrew McMurray got kind of shoved out at the exit of turn 2 there.
Yeah, taking a look at the car, it looks like it's still in one piece, but yeah, if he got a little bit of that wall, it's going to make that thing be very tight. You saw Jeff Heisong just catch him with a huge head of steam. But yeah, as I feel like the tunnel turn's probably one of the scariest ones just because of how quick that turn is, especially with these cars.
Yeah, that was all kind of brought on, unfortunately, by the Mata Mafia. Michael Mata tried a inside pass into the tunnel and couldn't complete it, and that just stacked everyone up behind. But everyone's still going. Looks like Nick Murray might be missing or a little damage to his front wing, but nothing that can't be fixed on a later pit stop. So he just needs to hang on and make sure he doesn't lose the pack, and he could possibly still be in this for a top 10.
Yeah, I think it does look like that car's definitely got some tightness to it, which again would be from some front wing damage. Trying to get a good look to compare it, but say these things are it's just so touchy, you can never tell for sure. However, what we can say for sure though is now this is officially basically 25 laps since Edson pitted on lap 14 now, or 40. I'm sorry, with him pitting at lap 15. So again, I suspect he can probably go a few more laps just from those caution laps that we've had since he last pitted. I feel like it probably at most would be about 5 laps or so, especially with him kind of running the pace he is. When you mentioned like the Christopher situation pitting at 19, he's been kind of just chilling right around that 4th position, right behind Nick DeGroot here, and I think that's about the perfect place for him right now, where he's still right up front in touch of leaders, but probably able to kind of roll out of that throttle, maybe bump that fuel map down. As soon as I say that, AJ Hobson, he maybe saw that and said, yeah, I'm going for this one.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things where Hobson is still trying to learn. He may get the gist after a while that other people have other plans up ahead of him. But yeah, Stouffer, like I mentioned right before the green flag, you just got to get behind a few cars and do the best you can to save as much as you can. And it's clear that he tried to kind of deke everybody at the restart, but he knows what he's got to do. And he's probably frustrated at the fact that someone's trying to really throw himself up the inside right now. You can see that Stouffer has the run on DeGroot. He's not going to go for it.
Yeah, however, I say once the momentum shifts, but the thing we saw there going down the short chute there, as it looks like this time Hobson, nope, can't quite clear, gets the dirty air, is kind of the draft train we have right now. So, for instance, you see Teed, he's able to get to the inside of Edson, he's able to pass there. That's pretty much the only car that you're able to see make these passes down low because of that draft train. I mean, can you explain kind of what it feels like when you go from the outside line to the inside and have nobody in front to pull that toe? Does it just feel like a parachute, or I mean, what do you feel behind the wheel there?
Yeah, absolutely. You feel like you have such a huge run, a huge amount of speed going down the straightaway in that draft train. You pull out, and it's almost like you got hit in the face with just a wall, like a tornado. Like it's like stepping outside your front door on a windy day and feeling like you get hit in the face. It just slows your speed down immensely, and in order for you to make the move, there's a lot of clean air there because nobody is running that line, but you have to really send it to make sure that you get it, and it takes a lot of finesse to make sure you have the right amount of overspeed in order to make the turn properly.
Now, say what we saw right there was, though, about 3 cars dropped to the bottom almost at the exact same time there. I saw the 4, I saw Matt Wagner go it low as well, and I think it was Charles Teed as well, so I'd say that seems to have given the 4 of AJ Hobson the gap he needed. Yeah, now he jumps ahead of Christopher. And I have to say, though, we're approaching 45 here next time by, and that 20 is still going strong here. So, again, he's going to go, it looks like, about 30 laps on fuel at the minimum here with those caution laps. So, that's going to give us some numbers to kind of keep an eye on once we get towards the later stages of this race. All right, if someone pits at lap 70, can they go the distance to the end?
I still feel like it's going to be tough to do that. It's possible, but you need help. You need friends around you to help, I guess, pick up all the slack in terms of the fuel saving, or the fuel burning, rather.
So you can see Nick DeGroot kind of now the odd man now. He kind of got pinned to the inside, doesn't have any draft to work with here, so he's actually rolling back a little bit now, back to 7th here. Craig Forsyth's going to try to peek to his outside, see if he can drop him back to 8th, but no such luck yet. It's been pretty much Charles T to Edson Santos at the front, kind of switching back and forth positions. But you mentioned A.J. Hobson getting aggressive, getting back to the front. He's up to 3rd. He was peeking for 2nd through 3 last time. He's going to look again here on the inside down the long, or no, that's not. This is the short shoot. Long Pond's the out of 1.
As long as T doesn't jump down in front of him, which he just did.
Yep.
He should have the spot. But yeah, it looks like Edson will keep the spot.
But look at this though. I'll say, I don't know if, close there between Stouffer and Hobson there. They're both trying to steal a draft off of Teed there. And that's the dangerous part when people start trying to steal the same draft off a car. You'll find that same real estate real quick.
Yeah, it's one of those things, too, that you have to trust everybody you're around. And if you don't feel like you could trust the person that you're racing next to, you're going to do everything you can to get ahead or behind them. Here comes Matt Wagner inside. Similar to what I mentioned before about the wind hitting your face out the front door, Matt found a spot down there. He went for a lot of overspeed, and there was no car that was to block his air in turn 2, so he was able to clear 2 cars in one corner.
Yeah, he's able to clear to the top there. And yeah, just as soon as Hobson was 3rd, now he's back to 5th position after all that cycled through. And again, you see drop slow here, stealing some draft off of that 20 as they head back into 1. And he'll get alongside of that the 13 there. But I don't think he'll be able to clear. And yeah, you can see there's that draft train you talked about. He's going to have to tuck right back in here. As say, it's been the 50 and the 20. They're just kind of leading that train here, just going back and forth. And if you guys have tried to kind of break up those two, but hasn't been able to happen yet.
I don't see Edson signaling at all to pit anytime soon. And he's kind of on the high line. He's just riding kind of up on the track, trying to I guess fit kind of in there. Okay, now he's going for the lead here. Maybe he's trying to get up ahead so he can make sure he has a easy way to get into the pit lane.
Yeah, this is impressive. The amount, again, he last pit on lap 15 from what I'm showing in my timing and scoring, unless something was showing wrong there. That's the last time I saw him on pit road. So pretty impressed with how far he's been able to go. And again, I mean, there could be a bit of a miscue with my timing and scoring on my ticker here. So we'll keep an eye on that. Like I said, the other one to watch will be the 13 because those are the 2 that pitted the longest time ago, I should say. And again, he's pretty much stuck up top here, so it doesn't look like he's planning coming in now either. So, and we're starting lap 49. So I mean, again, that's now what are we at? 35 laps just about that he's gone here since pitting, allegedly, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely had a couple of yellows there that would kind of delay the pit lap count. So it's possible that he's, I would imagine any lap now he's going to be in. Nick DeGroot just made the wrong decision in turn 1, and looks like Mata Mafia is trying to make a move on him in turn 2.
I'm almost wondering either Nick maybe has a little bit lingering damage, or is he going on a big fuel save strategy too? Because Nick's pretty sneaky on his pit strategy. So I'm curious about, actually, as I said, there's Edson. He just jumped on the pit road now. Hopefully got it low down. He hustled it in there, though, for sure. So he's our first leader pit coming to lap number 50. So he could basically split these final 2 stints here in 25 lap increments, and he'd be good to go to the end. So maybe that was his strategy here. Because, again, a lot of times in these cars, you kind of want to work the field number backwards, really. But if in all of that, though, look at A.J. Hobson. He got to the point there. As soon as they say that, here goes Charles T to grab the spot back. But I'll say, so A.J.'s found himself now in that top 2-3 spots here.
I'm calling lap 56 for Stouffer coming in. That's what I'm calculating based on what I've seen for the fuel save. How many laps after he pitted after Edson? I think he's going to save another lap or 2. So I'm going to call end of lap 55 into 56 for him coming in.
And so here's a really good call as well. So Edson's already out of the pits. Again, 9.9 second stop. But he's just now going down the short chute here. Or sorry, going down Lawn Pond, I apologize. So he's only a handful of seconds ahead of the leaders. I mean, that's the gap right there. As he's already in the tunnel turn, those guys aren't that far behind. So it's just about a full lap at pace for those that maybe want to think about doing a short pit strategy. So you got to be on top of your pit entry and exit to make this work.
Yeah, and again, these guys battling for the lead are all trying to do some sort of fuel save expedition of sorts. So anyone who's running by themselves and running just flat out laps will pull away from the leaders. So it'll be interesting to see where these leaders come out in relation to Edson after he comes cycles all the way back up to the front again.
Yeah, and the other hope for Edson is I saw he has a car with him. That is the 32, I believe. Yeah, Gary Laverne. If they can kind of, I don't know what kind of shape that 32 car's in, but yeah, if this is also where, I mean, what do you do here, Andrew? If you have a teammate, let's say.
Well, 13's coming in this lap as well as 89. Well, Stouffer and DeGrooter pitting this lap.
All right, let's watch them as they jump on in, and yep, so far so good. Nice clean entries, no huge lockup, so it looks like clean entries for the two of them. And I was about to say is if you short pit but you have a friend, you say, all right, here we go, we're going to pit together, we're going to try to do that leapfrog strategy where basically we kind of keep passing each other on the straightaways. I mean, that I think could be a potential for them to break away from the field, because right now the 20, he's just in clean air. He's not making the lap times, I don't believe. So right now he ran a, let's see, last lap was a 41.73 to a 41.67 for Teed. So actually not that far off, but I feel like there is more time to be had if you can really nail the draft duo.
Sorry, I was just watching kind of a sketchy moment in the backpack.
Yeah, I saw a little puff too.
Yeah, it looks like there's a wreck in turn 3 right here. It looks like DeCiro.
Oh yeah,
DeCiro.
However, no caution up there. The caution is out, and that is a huge break for the 20, the 89, and the 13, because they just made their green flag pit stops. They're still on the lead lap. And now everybody else is going to pit, so those guys are pretty much guaranteed a top 3 restart here.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the lack of response there, but I was just watching something develop big time in turn 3. It looks like I mean, Elmer Joseph, he's new to the series. I don't really quite understand what he was doing there. DeCiro did call out his pit entry and everything, so everyone knew he'd be kind of slow, and I think he just got kind of trapped behind Joseph DeCiro there, which just kind of spooked everybody else behind him. And I think it was just a misunderstanding of what exactly was happening. Poor Joseph DeCiro was just trying to pit, and he winds up getting spun out.
Yeah, watching it now, and yeah, it's like you said. The only thing is maybe potentially, maybe there's also that kind of indecision of maybe when, as I know this is one of those tracks, you can definitely slow down at different points, and maybe he expected Joseph to slow down a little bit later than he did. I mean, you never know. Obviously, when you're going behind the wheel of these cars, they're going 200 plus. There's a lot to try to keep up with at that time. So, unfortunately, though, Joseph involved. However, he's able to grab a gear and get going again. And like I said, I think the happiest guys right now are going to be these 3 right here, because here they come right back to the tail end of the field. And they're going to be able to take those top 3 spots here on this restart.
Yeah, those guys that pitted early for sure. They technically should be a little more ahead, but everyone that's pitting now will have a little more fuel. So it all depends on what the exact lap times and lap counts before your next pit stop.
Yeah, exactly right. So right now, AJ Hobson showing us our leader. I was saying now with everything cycling around for the moment, our highest climber is actually the 51 here of Jim Brooks. He is up 13 spots into 7th. But again, that's going to change a little bit as we're going to see the leaders head in, but we'll see 3 leaders for sure stay out. But I don't think we'll see too much strategy here. I feel like at this point in the fuel run, it's going to be 4 tires and fuel for everybody.
I would think so. Everyone's got to kind of top up and get fresh boots on, and it looks like actually with the amount of laps remaining, we may actually be able to run like a mini fuel save, not quite a fuel save, but enough to kind of race. So I don't know if guys like Craig Forsyth or Chris Stouffer or Nick DeGroot might be saving fuel anymore. They may actually go for a race scenario.
Yeah, but I think at this point it's map 1 time.
Yeah, once you're in like the 4th or 5th place spot, like unless you find a huge run, you're just gonna kind of hang out there and save your tires and go for a run later on, and try and find the right time to get your way to the front.
Yeah, exactly right. So, and speaking of boots, did you know you can buy some racing boots from 40 Raceware? So we're gonna step away, show you that. There's a special code you can use for 15% off. So stay tuned, look at some boots, and we'll be right back.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, we are back. Lights are off. And yeah, I think at this point here, Andrew, I want to say we're probably full rich to the end here. I mean, I'd say maybe small question mark for like Edson, Nick, and Chris, but really I don't think so. Because again, I was told going into it that even full rich, it was about 25, 26 laps. So I think with the caution, Edson Santos, he pit it at 49, so it was right on the edge, but I think this puts him in the window. To Groot Stouffer at 52, and then everybody else here behind at 55. So I think now it's really maybe almost, do you want to run this race backwards here and pit as soon as you're in your window if you can find a friend to jump in with, and maybe see if you can pull that same strategy and maybe get a little bit of luck like Edson, Nick, and Chris did this previous yellow.
I think you're absolutely right. You got to work backwards from here. Just make sure you hit the lap that you want to pit. Find a friend, save some fuel. I wouldn't say that people are going to go full rich for like a pack race kind of scenario that we're in right now. I actually feel like people are going to try and save a little bit even more fuel because on your last pit stop, you're taking both tires and fuel. So if you could shave off even a half second in your box.
Oh, contact in the back here, say, and big hits. Caution is going to come right back out here. And we've got a bunch of cars involved in this one here, unfortunately. I see Bill Cawley's one of those involved. I believe that, one more up in the wall there as well. I think that is Rick Sanchez is another. And, let's say Brad Am's got a piece. I'm watching this car here that's just trying to hang on. Oh, that's Andrew McMurray trying to hang on for dear life. And if there was any fuel concerns, it's definitely gone now, but let's go back here one more time. We saw it right around that back portion, so let's see if we can get a better look at it here. And again, I mean, you can see the gap coming up into it, and I think, again, actually, if you even look a little further up here, you can see the accordion around Jim Brooks. There's Eric Peterson, I think, got a little bit of a touch from behind from the 61, and then just from there, it's just all stacks up there. You can see there's Michael Carrillo, actually really good moves by these two, go way low to avoid the contact there. But unfortunately, a few of these guys not as lucky. And so I think it's possibly the second, maybe third accordion restart wreck we've had here. And it's just, again, I mean, we're also getting to the later portion of the race. Everybody's getting a little bit more amped up. And it's just, again, I've always had that concern with the single file restarts. It definitely seems to kind of lead to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the first race to the season jitters here. Again, you're racing around a bunch of people that may not be used to the series, maybe kind of in the mid-pack and not really understanding where how to restart or trying to find the right gap to get into there. So
I'm watching Andrew McMurray right now because he gave in finally. He was going for it. He said, I am going to make this car get to pit road if it's the last thing I do, and didn't quite get there. but it was definitely not for lack of effort, unfortunately. So now, though, again, nobody can make it to the end here, but if I'm in the back half of this field, I mean, I feel like Michael Mata, I think he has to pit. I think he probably has some front wing damage. Eric Peterson, I'm not. Oh, yeah, he's definitely missing his left front corner. Yeah, here comes Peterson. Honestly, I feel like this, even if you weren't damaged, this might be a good pit strategy here anyway, because like you said, saving any little bit of fuel you can. You're going to get a little bit more fuel in your tank here, and like I said, maybe shorten that final pit stop a little bit where, let's say you're a second behind. If you can cut a second off on your pit stop, maybe you merge right with the front guys. So I don't think this is kind of a race-ending situation here. So I like the idea here because, I mean, again, we'll see who gets out first. But, I mean, they're going to restart, looks like, 12th. And I got to give the shout-out right now of the race here. That's 21 car, Alan Morera. He has been involved in a couple of events. That car's been upside down. He's in 12th right here. He got through that one clean. He's been sticking it out. He's got a couple laps back. And he sits right now in the 12th position. I definitely commend him for just kind of persevering through and getting to a good spot here.
Yeah, with his polka dot / whatever black and white squares he has going on, I'm going to get to the bottom of this before next race.
Yeah, we're going to have to quiz him. It might be one of those things where he's got some sort of top secret design. You know how the manufacturer, when they have a new design coming out, they don't want you to be able to take photographs of it. Maybe that's what Alan's got going on over here. He's kind of doing the F1 top secret liveries.
I'm not really sure if I like it or hate it or kind of am envious of it. There's just a bunch of stuff going on here. But Alan Morera, he's my guy for this race because I want to see that car hit victory lane. But yeah, you're right. He's definitely been up. He's been down. He's finding himself in a spot. He's got the talent for sure. He's racing this series now, I think, for 3, maybe 4 seasons. He just needs to find a way to get up front again. But I mean, I have to give my hats off to the AJ Hobson, Chris Stouffer, and Nick DeGroot clinic up here because they're just going to do whatever they can to keep the track position. It doesn't seem like fuel is a concern to them. Otherwise, they would have probably topped off on this last stop. It's always about who the highest car is at the back that comes in to top off. And you could definitely tell the top 5 probably felt comfortable with it. And everybody from like 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th down is trying to drag everybody else from the back behind so that you are the first car to have the freshest stuff exiting pit lane.
Yeah, exactly right. So the 3 that did pit and didn't top off, Eric Peterson, Michael Mata, Jeff Heisong, those will be the 3 that, again, it's not a big difference, but again, I mean, every little bit counts. So we'll see how those ones do. But again, you talk about the recovery drives too. I mean, our first place car and then our 4th place car, Edson and AJ, again, they were both involved in that wreck. One of them was upside down, somehow able to make it back to pit road, took their fast repairs. And I mean, we've seen them. They've raced through back to the field, and then they made a great pit call in the 20 car along with the 89 and 13 to get to those top 3 spots. So there's been some up and down nights here tonight. I think Craig in 5th here, he has not shown his hand yet. I think he's been kind of playing fuel strategy until basically he's ready to kind of crank it up a notch. And then, Bruno Miranda, Charles T, they're going to find their way back up there before it's all said and done. So there are going to be so many cars in the top 3, though.
Quickly, before we go green, Richard Sanchez still has a messed up front wing. I hope he comes into the pits because he's missing a front wing here, and I hope he doesn't cause any sort of issue on the restart.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about that, too, as we are back underway. Hopefully get a better start here. Looks like, again, a little bit of a checkup. And, yeah, here he's heading into pit road now. But looks like everybody's through the the front stretch here nice and clean as we're going to try to build up speed here. 39 to go. Again, we think 25 to go is about the magic number on fuel. So we'll see when these guys want to blink first in about 14 laps. I mean, it's not too far from that potential final stop.
I think some of these guys are going to drag their friends in around 27 or 26 to go just because they want to make sure that they have the right amount of fuel.
I'm a little nervous about Hobson there. He got a pretty good touch to the wall there from what I saw there out of the tunnel turn, but looks like it's still driving all right, so we'll see if he's able to recover from that. But, yeah, that looked a little scary to me, and he's definitely lost some momentum here. I see 2 more heading to pit road, but I think those are non-lead lap cars, so right now the battle continues to be up front here.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those tracks where you can kind of hit the wall square and everything be okay. I've hit the wall many times here and thought my car was done, but turns out everything was kind of okay. I think just the way the wall kind of sections itself off is pretty nice. You want to run as high as you can, so you hit the wall a lot when you try and do that.
Yeah, so these, I feel like they're not as forgiving for me as I would like them to be. I mean, and nor should they be with being open wheels, but right now we've got about a 10-car breakaway here that are comfortably in the main pack. Unfortunately, Alan Moreira on back. I wonder if Alan's still lingering a little bit of damage again. He had to use his fast repair early, then had some more damage that he just kind of tried to see if he could work through. So car may not quite have the top end that he's hoping for, but again, still sticking with it. Now he's going to hop in behind Eric Peterson. That draft's going to come into play a lot for him right now too. But now up front, though, it seems to be Nick DeGroot, Christopher. Now they're going to kind of try to continue to lead the way here. Keep that pace up. Again, try to break away from the field and maybe turn this into a 10-car race to the end as they try to just break that field off little by little.
Can you sense the hastiness in this pack compared to what we had for the last, 6 or 7 restarts? Everything is fast-paced now. There's no one trying to go 2x2 or lifting early. Like, you were absolutely right, Gael, when you said before that it's time to go. The fuel should not be a concern anymore unless you're trying to save just maybe like a half second or second in the pit lane. These guys are moving, and you could tell the top 6 has completely pulled away from everybody else in the field, and it'll be difficult for anyone trying to catch up to them.
Yeah,
including Bruno Miranda in 7th.
Yeah, I think what happened here, I think AJ is hurting. I think that car's got a little bit of lingering damage, and so just doesn't quite have what he was hoping for. So I think that's hurting the overall pace of that car, and I think that may have been what kind of got Bruno trapped a little bit back. And so, yeah, so now Jim Brooks is going to try to see if he can draft around that number 4 and try to keep up, like I said, keep up now with Bruno and then get back up to Teed, kind of continue that. And so you can see he does clear. And as I've been watching him, obviously a little bit biasly on sorts because my dad, but he definitely likes to run the top lane if he can. So like watching turn 3, he'll probably try to keep the momentum built up and hopefully clean air up top. I've seen a lot of that out of the 51 here tonight.
Yeah, he's just kind of right outside that margin there, and I think if he just runs, we got a car on the wall in turn 3 there a little bit. Looks like Matt Wagner kind of misjudged the high line a tiny bit and scraped the wall. So kind of a similar situation.
So yeah, I'll have to keep an eye and see, does that affect him like it affected the 4 car or not? As we say that, Bruno Miranda, we just talked about him kind of falling off that draft. He just ran the fastest lap of the race, was 0.6 of a second quicker than our leaders, a 40.96 compared to 41.60s up front. So Bruno wanted to make sure he did not follow that draft, and I think he's ready to go grab some more while he's at it. And then Matt Wagner's trying to pull himself back in. Jim Brooks tugging along as well.
Look at Dad go. Dad is finding his way. He's using Matt Wagner as a pick right in between the 2 groups here, and I think Matt Wagner is actually going to drag Jim Brooks up into the lead pack here, just organically by the fact that he's kind of a bridge in the middle.
Exactly, going to say almost like a ladder pulling him back in, and say Hobson is. I think Hobson is hurt, and so I think Herrick's going to have to be quick to try to see if he can sneak around as well, because like you said, the longer he gets trapped back there, he's just going to kind of lose that pack. So, but again, though, these laps taking off so quick, we're already down to 33 to go. So again, I think about 8 more laps, we're going to probably see some potential early stoppers. But remember, we talked about Craig Forsyth. He's starting to turn that wick up. He's worked his way up into 3rd position now. And again, here's all the stagger. Look at all the lines you guys are running through 3, just trying to find all the clean air they can put on the front wings of these cars.
Yeah, you can see that they run like a bit of a zipper line through there, but these guys are all experts. Everybody up front right now has been up front in previous races before, and you can tell that they know exactly where everybody else is around them, so that when they get to the straightaway...
Oh, contact!
As I say that, there's a car on the wall there.
Yeah, T just got that arrow wash behind, unfortunately, got into Edson, and Edson, big contact with the wall here, and that was a much bigger hit than what the 4 had, so the car is going to have a massive, massive understeer. And unfortunately, though, again, he was in that first wreck, so he doesn't have a fast repair to fall back on now. So he's going to have to try to, in my opinion, he's got to try to limp this thing, if he can, to the next pit stop. But again, he's got to go about 6 more laps most likely. And it's still, even after the pit stop, that car is going to be hurting. So unfortunately, that's going to probably cost Edson any chance of a top 3 here tonight.
Can I ask you a question? Is that a commentator's curse that I just tried to explain something?
I
that
mean,
didn't
if it
actually
is, you're in good company because I am notorious for them. I mean, I had that one right off the bat too, so it's inevitable. I'm just gonna say we're pros because I've seen the pros do it too. So
Yeah, I mean, a commentator's curse is usually at a driver, not at a situation. Which
That's
I'm
true.
like, yeah, they're zippering their way through, and someone's in the wall. Unfortunately,
so we'll just yell at T to post race for making us look bad.
I agree with that. Unless he wins. If he wins, we have to be nice to him.
Yeah, that was a brilliant move to scare your competition to the wall. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so what that did though is it's kind of giving the top 7 a breakaway here because you can see AJ Hobson, Jim Herrick, they're still just holding on to the outside looking in. But again, they're about 6-7 tenths off of Jim. Edson's fallen to that dreaded 1.7 or so second gap where he has no draft off of him. But again, that actually may benefit him where he at least now doesn't have the dirty air. But I mean, look at this train we got. We're going to look off the back of Christopher. And right now, everybody's all spread out here. But watch as they come through the front stretch. Everybody's going to try to get back in line as soon as they possibly can. Let's say the caveat being Teed and Forsyth battling for that third spot. And of course, the leapfrog that we continue to talk about. So right now, as they go through, I know, big slide by Craig. I don't know if that was contact or not.
Another contact with Stouffer on the exit from Teed.
Man,
there was a little bit of netco with the Forsyth contact, but
I don't know how Craig held that.
I don't either. That was I don't really know what to comment on that. That was just like a netco contact initially, and then just pushing up the track a little bit into the side of Chris Stouffer. Everybody continues on, which is remarkable. But as you can see, I've been watching Jim Brooks the last few laps. He wants to be up front so bad. He is searching for every tiny bit of clean air he possibly can. He can't run the high line too long or else those front tires are going to wear off. But you can see he is all over the back of these cars trying to make sure he finds his way up to the top 3 or 4 as fast as he possibly can. Yeah, he's hungry for something.
That's a good move by Stouffer. Gets by DeGroot here into that tunnel turn. And again, we're 28 to go, so just a few more laps here. That window opens. Again, this is where you try to kind of figure out, okay, who's maybe on who's working with who in Discord, and maybe try to do some strategy. Because, I mean, I believe earlier I saw Matt Wagner and Jim Brooks together, and if that's the case, man, if I'm in their shoes, I'm saying, hey, when we get the window, let's pit together and let's do that tandem swap draft. I think that's our chance to try to see maybe we can break away from the field here because it's getting dicey. In the wall, yeah. We'll see if he's able to
recover. And then we got another car spinning on the bump down there. Bruno is wrecked.
Oh, yeah, Bruno's pinned there. Okay. Well, that's going to change everything now because this is going to be a caution right in the window. And, yeah, that car is definitely in trouble here. He's going to try to get this thing looped back around. And I think it was like you talked about, I think it was just a couple cars all going for kind of similar real estate here. I think maybe we'll see if it kicked off around Jim or not. So we'll focus on the 51 initially because Bruno is right behind him. He's right, and Jim's right next to Craig here. You see Jim to the outside. Oh, contact between he and Craig. That gets Jim up into the outside wall out of one. And then we'll watch for Bruno. And, he reacts. He gets down low.
Yeah, there's a semi landmine bump.
He's doing some off-roading.
That you can't avoid that. That's the same thing when you're coming out of the pits from your pit stop. If you don't jump over on the right side there, you'll hit this bump and you'll go for some wild ride on the exit of pit out. So unfortunately, it looks like Bruno was trying to avoid an incident, and then he just touched the quote unquote bump in the track, hole in the track.
All right,
which is not acceptable.
I was saying we're going to go back because we're going to watch that from the chat's favorite driver, and that is going to be Mr. Mata. Watch this from his roll bar. We're going to put this at speed because watch the squeeze job he has to do here to try to get between Bruno and the wall. I mean, that is as close
just not getting any closer than that, yeah.
And there was nowhere he could go. There was cars on his left, so he was kind of committed there, and it's like, well, I hope I make it, and hats off to him. He got through that, so well done there, Michael. And then also, I mean, I think this is a good break for Jim Brooks. I say he probably needs to take that fast repair as well because that was some pretty significant contact, I feel like. AJ Hobson, I think, as well. This might be a good break for him, but all
There's
right.
quite a few people who need a fast repair right now. After,
Yeah, hopefully they have them.
Some close quarters.
All right, so do you do fuel only here, or do you take tires to the end?
You absolutely take tires to the end. Tires are not as much of a big deal here, but if your opponents are on fresh tires, you want to also be on fresh tires.
And I think I've seen every car bounce up, so I think you are spot on there. Looks like Mr. Stouffer's going to win the race out of pit road, and then Nick DeGroot's going to jump out second, Charles Teed in third. And remember we said everybody's going to take tires? Not somebody. Mr. Mata jumping to 5th place with that strategy, wanting to get some track position back here. He gained about 2 seconds on pit road doing that. So he's going to do a slight gamble here to try to get some of that track position back. So he's going to wind up now in the top 5. Matt Wagner, a lengthy pit stop, though, here. He had about a 14.7 second stop. So that, to me, says front wing damage to the 6 car. But right now, we're showing still a 15 on the lead lap. Showing Brad Adams on pit road now. I believe Brad may have been the wave around here. Got his lap back in that 76 car, so I believe that's going to put 16 on lead lap. And don't forget about Dan Marrero. Actually, look at Dan here. He's going to stay out. Dan's gambling. He's saying, you know what? I need another yellow. I want another yellow. Because right now, he's the tail end of 1 lap down. If another caution comes out, I believe he should be the free pass car. So if Dan could get, we've seen a couple of those restart cautions here. If Dan can get a quick restart yellow, he is right back in this game fighting all race long. So I'm curious. I'm going to be watching 26, obviously, because, yeah, if we get a yellow, Dan's back in the game.
Yeah, Dan gets his wave around right now. Your Michael Mata comment earlier was valid. This is one of those things where you're on old tires, but, again, track position is key at Pocono. It's not your typical banked oval sort of thing where you lose tires, you lose spots. This is everyone's trying to find clean air. Clean air is king over your tires, so I think Mata is making the right move here. And as long as he stays up there and out of trouble, he might be good.
And also depends on where he was, because he was in that second pack at the time of the yellow, so, if he was in a good spot where he was able to just have clean air and maybe was able to take care of the tires, his tires really might not be in that bad of shape.
Yeah, and I believe Mata is also new to the series, his first or second season. So this is a good opportunity for him to run up front with the big guys and see where his strengths and weaknesses are going forward. If he's able to stay up there, then maybe he's a contender for finishing top 7, top 10 in future races, and until he finds himself up front. But if he can hold on to it, it's pretty good.
And I got to give a shout out to Chris Stouffer. I'm looking at his pit lane time compared to just his pit stop time. So I'd mentioned Michael Mata, the 6.2 second stop compared to 8.4 seconds for Chris's. However, the pit lane time, it was 43.28 for Michael to a 44.70 for Chris. Chris is about a second quicker on pit lane than anybody else that took 4 tires. So he got in and out of the pits very quickly. So well done to him. And now he's got control of this restart. So again, once the pace car's off the surface, it's up to him when he wants to go. And we've seen
snaking down the front straightaway.
You're going to see a lot of snakes now. Yeah, you're exactly right. You already see as soon as he goes green, he's going to cut to the left. We watch to the back. Looks like everybody's going to get through the gears cleanly on the front stretch. So unfortunately for Dan, they keep it clean off the get-go here, but we're back underway here. 23 to go, and already a battle for second between Charles Teed and Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, I saw Jeff Heisong had an unfortunately bad restart there. He got swamped by quite a few cars. I just heard on voice chat just voice his displeasure on the fact that he was somehow passed by a bunch of cars here. So we want Jeff Heisong to pick it back up. He's running P9 right now, so he's passed by quite a few cars, but unfortunately he's going to be going backwards.
Yeah, so you never want to lose them right off the bat because you know it's just going to get so much more difficult as the race goes on. So as everybody starts to spread out that a little bit, and you kind of get, again, you get that draft train, if you will. So Again, right now, based on the way they're running, we've seen the top two. They're able to really leapfrog and keep the pace of this race up. We'll have to wait and see now. Can, in this case, Charles Teed, can he kind of try to spoil the party there in that third spot? But right now, like I said, a bit of a breakaway here for those top. It looks like 8 cars to Jim Brooks. Eric Peterson's trying to close that gap, and he's saying it's just a couple, maybe about a half a second from him to each guy. And then again, Bruno Miranda, defending champion, he got his fast pair. He's right back in it. He sits 11th. I don't think he's going to end 11th. I think he's going to be going after it here as Eric Peterson and Jim Brooks side by side here for the 8th position.
Yeah, it looks like Jim Brooks got hung out to dry a little bit with AJ Hobson taking the high line, so Eric Peterson had a mega run coming out of turn 3. Unfortunately, he couldn't do much with it because they all seem to be falling back into the positions that they were before. Matt Ryder's making a move on Eric Peterson right now. I think he'll get the move clear by exit of turn 2. Or, no, it looks
Peterson.
like Bruno Miranda is going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, saying that momentum shift, just like you talked about. I think for Jim, too, he's going to have to try to get that momentum on the 4 car. Again, AJ Hobson, he had a little bit of lingering damage from earlier contact. Again, he didn't have a fast pair remaining, so that car is still probably not as top-end friendly as he'd like it to be.
Over through the middle, almost went for the lead there. Looks like Nick DeGroot got it, but Charles Teed is lingering in the shadows, but Stouffer's going to have the run with Nick DeGroot going down the back straightaway.
Now watch for Teed. Teed's going to try to get 2 for 1 through the tunnel turn. And he's going to get it, but here comes the momentum back. Nope, he's going to hang on to it, but look at Stouffer. He's going to cut right back to the bottom. Oh, these guys are leaving inches right now.
Yeah, got to watch out for Jim Brooks. Keeps running that high line, but he's going to wear his tires out if he rushes into these corners. AJ Hobson looks like his car is fine from whatever incident he had before. And you can also give a shout out to Michael Mata with those old tires still hanging steady in the top 5.
Yeah, he's fighting right now with Craig Forsyth, Jim Herrick, 2 of the 40 Raceway cars. Just gave enough room for Jim to the outside.
That was so close.
But he gave just enough room. Again, I mean, you want to give yourself every little inch you can, and so he gave Jim Herrick just enough room, but Jim had to be perfect on that car. And there he goes. Look at Michael. He's going to try to squeeze to the top of Jim now. Going to try to roll the outside here through 3.
Top 11 cars, all separated by about a second and a half or so. I don't know if this is going to go green for the rest of the way because everybody is being very aggressive and shutting doors where there's very, very small gaps. So hopefully these guys can sort it out, find a way to strategize, get yourself up front, and be obviously courteous to your teammates. Because, again, this is the season opener where people really want to make a stand and show that they are here for the championship.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly right. I say I think there is going to be at least 1 drop week. Not sure if it's 1 or 2 drop weeks. So say if you have a bad race, it will get knocked off. But at the same time, you're right, though. It's still almost kind of just one of those like, hey, I'm here. You're going to deal with me. But I mean, look at this fight for the lead. Look at Nick DeGroot. He was going to try to go from the top to the middle to the bottom as we go 3 wide here through the front stretch here. And right now, they're all pretty side. Okay, now Nick clears bottom to the top to get that entry. And again, everybody just trying to stagger to make sure they got some room for clean air here.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this top 3 right now because all 3 of them have their own strengths and weaknesses, I feel. And I think they all kind of align in the same way, obviously.
Big hit for Jim Brooks through the tunnel turn. The caution is back out. And, that's a brutal hit. I'm guessing contact there, not sure where. And that car is pinned here. He's trying to get it rolling and go. Oh, actually, he's got a gear now. He's going. So maybe a fast repair still in store, but that car does not want to steer. But let's see what happened here to Jim Brooks. Because he was right around AJ Hobson, Craig Forsyth. And I'm not sure who else was in that mix. Let's take a better look at it here. He's to the outside of Hobson entering the tunnel turn. Oh, a little bit of a connection issue there initially. Let's see.
This looks like a checkup situation.
Oh, yeah, a little stack up. And, yeah, I think Hobson... Well, actually... That's
a very bizarre
netcode delay contact.
Yeah, it looks like a touch, and then the spin came afterward. I don't think I've seen that happen much.
Spun the wrong way too. So you see there, and then the car brakes to the That's a very odd. And again, he did have a little bit of a net code disconnect for a split second there, so maybe it was trying to get it resettled.
Sorts.
Yeah, delay, and just wasn't able to. So that's unfortunate. I was saying it doesn't look like there's anything blatantly mistakes or anything like that. But it looks like the 51 may have officially retired from the events. I don't see him on track at the moment.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with the connection side of it, because like I mentioned before, like everybody's trying to give each other 6 inches on the track. If you have one sort of spike on the internet connection and you throw someone off their rhythm or something like that, that may not be good. But it looks like we have a lot of these guys.
We're going to see a lot of fakes,
Yeah,
I was say we're going to see a lot of fakes. Craig Forsyth's going to see what tires do for him, and he's going to bring in a good chunk. Bruno Miranda stays out, Alan Morera, but he's bringing pretty much everybody else on back. So it looks like about 9th on back going to hit pit road. So we're going to have a little mix on tires here from the top 8 to 9th to 15th. And it took pretty much all race here, but look at Dan Morera back on the lead lap here without caution. Got the break he wanted to. Played the fuel strategy, and he last pitted on lap 58, so he couldn't have gone too much further on fuel. So definitely a good strategy played out by that 26 car, and now back in the lead lap, and now he's going to have something to go for it too, because, I mean, we haven't got to see Dan show his true pace here tonight so far.
I'm surprised that Michael Mata didn't pit there, because like I mentioned before, like especially on a track like this, you want to be the first person to lead the pack down. If Mata had pitted from his P5, I guarantee you that everybody behind him, maybe 1-2 cars may have stayed out just to be different, but you saw that most of the people from Craig Forsyth back came in. So if Mata came in and got the fresh tires, then so would have Forsyth and dragged the rest of the field back, because you know everybody behind you, you're not losing any spots, but you're getting fresh tires. Whereas fresh tires may not be super important around these parts, as you could see from the fact that he stayed in the top 5. I still think that he probably should have come in just to go off a little bit and bring the rest of the field in behind him.
And that is a good point, because while he still sits in 5th, he's only got about a 4-car buffer before all the 4-tire cars are going to roll out behind him, starting with Craig Forsyth. So it'll be interesting to see where the 99 and 36 and 6 kind of come out in relation to the 61. I mean, that's going to be our telltale. But honestly, it may have been just, it wasn't a tire situation. It may have been, hey, I'm afraid of that accordion on the restarts. I'm going to stay out because of that. Because the further back you go, the scarier it gets, and the more likely of that kind of that accordion comes into play. So, and again, you have to remember, there are no green-white checkers here. So if we get down towards the end of this race here, we get a late yellow, that's going to be it. So that's another part of where track position comes in so critically.
You know, the 61 wants another caution just to sort of bridge the gap between the 2 cautions.
Yeah, I think you'll be right on that one. And again, too, I don't know if it's going to be a tire wear versus tire temperature. I'm not sure what's going to be the more critical for these cars. So that's going to be the next thing too, is getting everything right there.
So who do you call as the winner right now? 13 laps to go. Who we got?
I am going to say, since we're back on broadcasting, it's going to be Mr. 89 of Nick DeGroot, because he loves to show off on the broadcasts. I have a guess for you.
Who do you got?
I'm thinking you're going with the 13 of Christopher.
I am going with number 13, Christopher. Pocono is his track. He's played it safe this whole race. He's shown me everything that I needed to see in order for him to try and sneak his way into the win here. So we'll see what happens.
And then the other question that it would tell us the answer would be, it depends on how old Charles Teed's underwear is. That's usually the telltale of how well he's going to race. So if he gets top 3, we can find out.
Well, let's see. In the chat here, in our YouTube chat, has anyone been predicting who might win this race?
Nothing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll see some Mata chats here in just a moment, but we're about to go green here once again. It's going to come to green, 13 to go. Watch again. We got to be careful for that accordion. So far, so good. Looks like we're going to get a nice restart here. So we're back underway. 13 to go. Top 3 again. Charles Teed, Nick DeGroot, Chris Stouffer. Can we make it 13 straight laps to the finish, or are we going to rack them up at least one more time?
Bruno Miranda makes a big move in turn 1, passing both AJ Hobson and Michael Mata. So he is now up to about, what, P5?
He is P5, you are correct, but here comes Michael Mata. He's trying to come back at him through the tunnel turn. Will it be short distance versus momentum? And it is side by side. Look at the 4 car, AJ Hobson. He wants somewhere to go, but is pinned.
Back up front, Teed is really trying to show his muscle up front here. Race number 1 of the season. He wants to be up front. He makes a big move into turn 3. Here comes Chris Stouffer. 3 wide down into turn 1. I think he's going to have the run at the exit of turn 1. And Nick DeGroot's just trying to find a way to slide in there.
Yeah, Chris back to the front, but again, Charles, yeah, there you go. Oh, actually, I think a little bit of contact there is quick. I saw a little puff of smoke as that lane change happened. And, just for a second there, thought about going 3 through the tunnel. Charles stays in line. Now cuts underneath. He's going to try to do that crossover here as well. And we're getting defensive, but there's a very light blue car creeping into the mix here. That's those fresh tires. Craig Forsyth, he's about to hit the top 5 here, just a couple laps in, so Craig is putting those tires to good use.
I think Michael Mata, top 10 here, would be a great start to the season for him, being a new driver to the series and everything. He has a lot of fans here who want to see his car racing up front. He's racing up front. I think he's going to have a nice top 10 finish here as long as he keeps it nice and steady.
Yeah, Alan Murray got a bit of a wall there out of turn number 1. That slowed down Matt Wagner. Had to back off to get in line there. So unfortunately, Matt hasn't been able to make the progress that Craig has. Eric Peterson's done a really good job. Craig again jumping down low here. I think he's going to try to go for the 5th position here. And here comes the Bruno Miranda, defending champion. He's right back into the mix in 3rd. Man, it's getting there. And here's Craig. He's going to go middle 3 wide between Jim Herrick and Michael Motto. Now Michael's going to duck to the outside. These guys are getting dicey.
I think at this point it's lap 91. You're already trying to predict what you're going to do on lap 99, 100, how you're going to get to the front here, because these cars are on every single lane of every part of the racetrack trying to get the lead. I definitely would have predicted a little more calm here, and I'm worried that we might have one more caution because these guys are everywhere.
It is very exciting right now. There's a lot of movement going on around the track, and that's the thing, like you said, with oh my goodness, I don't know how the one in the 99 didn't make contact there, but it cost them both momentum. Look at Jim Herrick. He's going to try to get 2 for 1 here down the front stretch. I think he's going to get them both. He will. Great move by Jim Herrick, now jumping to 4th.
I'm so worried about a lot of these guys around the 8th, 9th, 10th position just not predicting dirty air at all. They're just driving head first into the corner, hoping that dirty or clean air appears, and I just don't see it happening. So I hope these guys can get it sorted and try and figure out how they can strategically get a couple more positions, get up front, because these guys are going for it right now.
I don't know if there's any strategy right now. I think it's just get what you can and see where it shakes out, because as they look at Chris. He's going to go all the way to the apron, try to slow that draft down. Nick DeGroot's going to go low. As soon as Nick goes low, Chris is going to go straight to the outside, try to get that entry again, get the momentum built up. And then there's Teed. He gets the aero wash. He drifts up. Chris going to cut back underneath him. Man, these guys. Oh, there's the contact.
Wow, they managed to somehow get away with that.
Goodness.
But let's get into turn 2 before we say that. I think everybody is clear for the... Yep, everyone has made it out. I just wanted to give special shout-outs to guys like Eric Peterson and Jeff Hysong. These guys that have had such hard luck in this series. They are running in this mix right now. They are running in this pack. And I hope that they get good finishes for them going forward, especially this season.
Man, I remember talking about Bruno Miranda having that little momentum loss there. Now he's up to the high side here in 3rd, trying to get 2nd or even 1st here. Craig Forsyth's right there. Matt Wagner's found his way into the mix. Eric Peterson, you mentioned right there. You talked about Michael Motto hoping for a top 10, as he's got his eyes on a top 5 or a podium. He got right back into the mix there. And then I have a feeling just Teed's probably grabbing a breath here and getting back after it here. I expect to see him back here shortly as well. But also Dan Morera back in the top 10. Just got his lap back. Look at the diving these guys are doing. We got 6 to go.
Yeah, I think Charles T might have had a moment because he is dropping outside the top 10 now, so he might have tagged the wall somewhere. But my key to win this race is you have to have the right amount of draft going into turn 2 and then find a way to get. Oh, yep. Eric Peterson just had some contact there.
I think it was Peterson and Herrick, I want to say.
Yep. Yeah, Peterson just got a touch of dirty air. As I was mentioning, these guys have to really measure their amount of. I think Peterson's losing
Peterson's
it now.
around, yeah. I think the damage was more than he realized. He is around. Caution is out. But I think it's going to be just that solo there. So unfortunately for Peterson, that we mentioned the bad luck, it looks like it's going to continue. But that wreck kind of happened out of turn number 1. So we're going to back it up a little further. I went a little too far, but that's all right. We'll focus on...
I apologize in advance for the commentator's curse, Peterson.
I don't think that...
I was hoping for the best for you.
I think there's just too much happening there. So yeah, as you can see, he's down on the inside. He's got all that dirty air from the back of the 61 car, and that just washes him right into the path of the 40. And you can see he's almost got it, and there's the contact there. They both make some contact, and I think just what happened there was, I think at that point, then Peterson had more damage than he probably realized. You can see he tries to get himself settled in here. He's back to 2x2 here once again with the 40, but then on the entry, the car just steps out from him. I think just was something probably broken. I'm not sure where, but you can watch as he enters. Immediately, the car's just coming around on him.
Yeah, I think there's just the track kind of drops off there a little bit. I think that angle that Peterson is going in.
Yeah, a little too shallow too.
Shows that he was going to push up a little bit, and then the track drops off. So I think it's just unfortunate that he had that happen.
And maybe a little contact from Jeff Heisung trying to get through. I think Jeff's going to get through that okay. But again, though, I think this is a lifeline for a few drivers here, and hats off to Eric. He's going to somehow limp this thing back to pit road. He's going to get this thing, hopefully a fast repair back in. He can go after it as well. And then I believe we're still going to get lucky. I think it's going to most likely be this guy right here, Richard Sanchez. I think he's currently 3 down, but he'll at least get one of those laps back. But I would expect to see Charles Teed on pit road. Yeah, here he comes. And he's going to bring with him Eric Peterson. And it looks like just those two. So not a lot of strategy here. And don't really expect to see a lot of strategy there. So now it's about a 10-lap difference in tires. But was that enough laps for it not to matter anymore? Because you got the top 3 pitting on 75, Craig and Matt on 85, Michael as well. Actually, Michael was fuel only, I should say, when his lap 75 pit stop too. So I mean, he's still hanging in there really well as well. So, and then you know what? I'm gonna jump around here because some guys we haven't got to talk about. Look at the 76 car, Brad Adams. He is plus 11 in the 11th spot. I believe he was caught in one of the restart incidents. Again, stuck with it. He's just outside the top 10. Behind him, Michael Carrillo there. We talked about he's had some troubles too. He's right back into it now in 12th. So, I mean, a lot of guys have had some really good recovery drives. And, I mean, Dan Moreira, I feel like he's been a lap down this whole race, basically. And he's in 7th. And he's got fresher tires, I should say, than some of those guys, too.
Yeah, look at Dan Moreira to make up a couple spots where he can, especially Michael Mata right ahead of him that is on older tires. I think he should dispose of him pretty fast. I think some of these guys up front that are on the older tires, they'll hold on. It's going to be a big fight to the finish. I just hope we can see a green flag run to the end.
Yeah, I think that's the hope here is we're going to have to just hope for it to go green to the end because basically at this point, next caution is going to end this race. So, and that's going to that's just going to ramp things up even more now because it's not okay, I'm going to set myself up for coming out of turn 3 or coming out of 2 or whatever it may be. It's I need to be in front as much as I possibly can. So I think we're going to see even bigger moves from these guys because the lights are going to go off here. And while the IndyCars don't have a green-white checkered, we will get an unofficial green-white checkered finish here on green-white checkered TV because we're going to restart this thing with 2 to go. And so the way technically it works is we're going to restart this thing with 2 to go. If there is a yellow between then and the white flag, the race will be frozen. That will be our finish. However, if they can get to the white flag at that point, it is on to the finish. iRacing does not throw a caution after the white is thrown, so at that point it's going to be probably a no-holds-barred run to the finish here. So right now, your guy's first. My guy that we talked about is 3rd. We got some fresh tires there in 4th and 5th. This is going to be interesting here. These guys are going to be going for it all. And, I mean, watch for Teed and Peterson. They got their fresh tires. They got their fast repair. I think they're going to kind of just be going for everything they can here in these 2 laps.
Yeah, we got to make sure we have a nice, clean restart. Everyone gets through it. There won't be a caution on the first lap, but let's see what happens on the final lap. I'm watching Bruno Miranda, too, because he is the reigning champion in P2 right now. He is going to possibly upset here, but I think Chris Stouffer is going to snake real hard on the restart. So I imagine him going early and trying to hold this position.
I think the opposite. I think Stouffer's going to go late. Try to get them to do that stack up and have a quick yellow here. And again, you don't want that, but at the same time, I mean, there's strategy to how you want to restart these races. And I think if Stouffer goes later, everybody behind him is going to get a little more antsy, and they might stack each other up here. So if I want this, I mean, of course you want to finish under green and beat him heads up, but I mean, if you're Stouffer here, if you go late here, that gives a really potential chance of that stack up. So we'll see. Pace car's about to make that sharp left. Stouffer has control from here. Hopefully everybody minds their P's and Q's and we get a great race to the finish waiting for him to go. And he is down and away. Looks like it was a later start. Look at all the jumbling around. I already see a wing flying, but everybody stays pointed in the right direction. I think we are clean and green. 2 to go here.
Look at that restart from Stouffer. He has at least 5-6 car gap to Bruno Miranda, but that's just going to mean he sucks right off the Stouffer coming through turn 1. They snake big time down there. Nick DeGroot's ready to pounce on Bruno Miranda.
And look at Matt Wagner. He's going to try to go 3 wide through the tunnel turn. It is going to stick for third. Craig Forsyth's hanging on there. There's Stouffer. He's going to jump to the top side. Nick DeGroot has the inside through 3. He will clear, and now they're going to have to snake through here, the front stretch. Can they get to the white here? And one way down into the infield is Jim Herrick, but no caution. We are official here. So 1 to go here at this point. There are no yellows. They just got to get to the finish.
Looks like Stouffer takes the lead in turn 1. He's going to immediately jump to the low side to break the draft, I imagine. Yes, he breaks down to try and hold Nick's route low.
Oh my goodness. Nick was almost on the apron there. We saw how badly that went earlier. Look at the Bruno Miranda trying to follow through. Will Stouffer have room to get to the outside? Oh, actually, Nick's going to protect the inside. Stouffer's going to take the outside. Now we're going to have to drag through 3 and down the front stretch to the line.
Yeah, there's a big stack up. There's a wreck there for third place. It looks like Matt Wagner gets air into the pit lane, but
Nick DeGroot, yeah, he was able to break the draft out of turn number 3. He's going to hang on and get the win. Chris Stouffer going to grab second. Craig Forsyth in third. But let's go back and see. We had 2 incidents, unfortunately. One's coming to the white and one right there out of 4. And one of those was Jim Herrick. So I think Jim Herrick entered pit road at about 200 miles an hour. So this is coming to the white here. I'm going to guess it's contact with Jim Herrick and the 21 of Alan Morera. And you can see you have just a little bit of side-to-side contact. And at this point, Jim's just along for the ride. And that's a pretty fast pit entry there. And unfortunately, also going to be missing some suspension pieces there as well, unfortunately. So
yeah, I find that kind of a strange incident as well, because it looks like he could have saved that and maybe just kind of gone low and just tried to hang on to it. But yeah, I mean, coming to that white flag, you saw all sorts of drivers trying to find any piece of track that they possibly could go into.
So then we'll watch here coming out of turn number 3. And again, I mean, everybody was going for everything. I think we need to focus. Yeah, it actually looks like it's Bruno Miranda. I think he catches that dirty air off of the 2 in front of him. That washes him up into the side of that number 61, I believe. Oh, actually, almost looks like contact with he and Craig even. And then, yeah, just these guys are all just trying to find a way through. And, oh, my goodness, look at the 1 and the 6 car getting some serious air there. And then, oh, my goodness, in the background, too. I mean, there's cars flipping everywhere. In the foreground, you see the win. But, man, behind there, we still got cars flipping in the background here. But Dan Morera is going to finish in 4th after all of this. And then Alan Morera finishes in 6th after all this is all said and done. Again, we talked about the races those guys dealt with to be able to recover like they did. I mean, obviously there was some survival there at the very, very end, but man, what a job by those guys.
Yeah, and look at guys like Michael Mata, the Mata Mafia, finishing top 10, basically where he stayed in the same spot he did all race. He tried that no-tire pit stop strategy, and he hung on there in the top 5 for quite a while, but those guys with the fresh tires were able to kind of come forward, the Damareras and sorts that were able to make hay where the sun shines, as they say. So yeah, it's good to see that the no tire strategy worked for guys like Michael Mata, Brad Adams, just outside the top 10 on a debut start to a new season. I think these guys that just finished outside the top 10 will be happy that maybe they got into a little bit of a tiff here and there, but I think these guys are happy with how this first race has gone for them.
Yeah, I'm saying we're going to find out from these drivers here. So we're going to kick it off with our third place finisher. That is going to be the number 99 of Craig Forsyth. So we're going to drag Craig on in over here. And Craig, it was a wild one tonight. Obviously, new season, back in the broadcast. And I feel like you never showed your full, let's say your map one hand until that last portion of the race where there was no doubt that it was a one-stopper to the end. What was the strategy going in, knowing what the fuel mileage was? And then the late pit stop there where you decided to go in for some fresher tires there with about 10 lap fresher, and then just the craziness at the end, just trying to get anything and everything you guys could.
Yeah. Well, first off, welcome back, guys. Yes. God, it's been too long. I'm so glad that we're back now. So, the whole first half, it was just, I was sitting back trying to see where we're going to get a long run. We had way too many cautions tonight. It was unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, towards the end of the race, once everyone went into map one and everyone knew we were going for it, it got really argy-bargy. And we had to burn a fast repair after one of the contacts. And then I ended up sliding up into Jim at one point. I think he was going around the outside of me in like one. And that was some tough racing once everyone decided that we were going for it. But no, the whole first half of the race was just sitting back, seeing what was happening, and trying to see if we could get a long run so that I could get a couple laps more than everyone else. But it never ended up working out that way.
Yeah, Craig, I think the big thing that I noticed here was trying to find the cleanest air possible. And when you're trying to hang out in like the 7th or 8th place position, trying to figure out where your car fits in best, what corners did you find that it was the most difficult to hold a clean air line in compared to other parts of the track?
It was turn 3. I mean, turn 3 on the outside line was OP as long as someone would give you the outside line. And when you were back in 7th or so, no one would give you the outside line. There was always someone up there. And then as the tires wore down, one got harder and harder. Like the high line started to get more and more better because you didn't need to lift as much as you did if you were forced into the low line. Of course, low line was the only way that you could try. You could, if you were behind, you could make passes because whoever was in front of you was going to take the high line into one.
Was it easy to see what cars might take the high line that you might have to actually take the low line to try and pass maybe 2 or 3 cars on the high side?
I had
if
to
that was the optimal line?
Yeah, no, I had to just keep hoping. I kept setting myself up to do the outside line and hoping that whatever car was in front of me this time around would decide to go low. And the couple times that happens were the times I was able to make the pass on them, get it done, so that they couldn't slide back up along the main straight there.
I mean, it was a really exciting race. Like I said, once it was pretty much all just everything was like, okay, let's go for it. I mean, you guys were going for it. It was really exciting. So I mean, I was nervous, but I had a giant smile on my face the whole time watching guys just kind of zigzag lanes and kind of jump each other. And it was, I mean, it's what I remember seeing. Like I said, it's a new season, maybe a few more yells than what everybody was hoping for. But I mean, you guys were put on some really, really good racing there at the end there, Craig. So
we were going 3 wide into 2 at points.
No, it was one of the admins too. I'll have to have a chat with him about that. But no, that was an amazing race, Craig. Like I said, you were able to make the right calls and get the track positions there at the end. But It's been a while since we got to do this, but we got to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that podium here tonight, sir.
Well, I mean, before I do, I got to give Bruno credit because Bruno had third place there. Whatever happened, me and Michael both watched at the end, and I touched Bruno's rear tire, and somehow that made Netcode decide that Michael's car was going all over. It wiped them both out, and neither of them deserved that. So that was unfortunate, and I shouldn't be here. It should be Bruno doing this talk, but. Yeah, no, it's good to be back. Thank you guys for sticking with us. And I mean, the dark days of Area 51 in the no broadcast. We had the core group of guys, the 15 to 20 of us that kept doing it week in, week out, and it was good. It's now that we're back, it's good, and it's good for Jim at 40 Racewear because he loves to sponsor this stuff and he loves to see the IndyCar racing. So to get a good result for him is good for us and good for the team.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate all of Jim's support with 40 Racewear for sure. So he definitely got to show. I'll say, fortunately, unfortunately, got to show some of his stuff during the cautions with his sponsorship. But yeah, man, I'll say we're back. We got one down, 11 to go. So great job tonight. Like I said, I know you don't feel like you deserve the third, but I mean it was a great fight. And yeah, it's just unfortunate sometimes the way those things go. So take advantage of it and look forward to seeing you here again soon, Craig.
You betcha, guys. Stay safe.
Thanks, Craig.
Here. All right, so now we got to jump to your pick for the win. And I mean, I say we're looking smart, like we know what we're doing here because they finished second and third. So I feel like we're on to something here. We'll see if we can kind of keep that momentum going or not. But we'll pull in our runner up here tonight, Chris Stouffer, in that number 13 machine. And was there a time or place that you wanted to be in the lead there, Chris, or was it just kind of a crapshoot of where was the place to be there at the end to try to get that win tonight?
Well, I'll tell you where I didn't want to be in the lead at, and that was on the restart with 2 to 3 laps ago. I knew I was a sitting duck. When we went, we had 2 lap shootout. When we went back green, I think my only real hope was for a caution. While I still had the lead. My hat's off to Nick. I mean, I did not think he would go all the way down to the apron to get by me there. But once he made the move and he went and committed down there, I gave him the room because me and him raced for years. And, I'm not dirty. I'm not going to pinch him down there and wreck both of us, ruin our races and all that. I'll take second and tried everything I could to get back by him, but only had a half a lap to do it. And not much I could do there.
So, Chris, it looked like there was quite a bit of the race there where you maybe thought that the race would go green for a long period of time. So, where was the period of time where you thought that the fuel save might work versus trying to pit a little bit off strategy to try and make it work? Because you definitely pit off strategy a couple times, trying to go a little bit different. And did you also have a friend with you that may want to try and help fuel save with you for later on in the race?
Yeah, Dan came in with me that first time I came in off sequence, and I did that just because we had like a couple quick cautions in a row at that point, and that first one when everybody came in, that was we could save from that point and be good on fuel. And then, after we got another caution, I was looking at the laps. I was like, you know what? I pit now. I don't really need to save fuel. I can just go all out where everybody else is going to save fuel if it goes green from here. So, for sure, I was, I was playing the odds and, looking at how much fuel needed. Got off sequence, but I knew at the same time I knew it was going to work out because you don't go a lap down. If you pit under green. So I knew I had a advantage in that aspect too. So yeah, I was playing every single card I had, and I was there at the end. Um, had that caution not come out, who knows what would have happened. But Nick won. Um, I got to look at the old book. It says what nice things you're supposed to say when you finish second, the first race of the season. Um, it says things like, It's first race of the season. It's a long season, so it's good to get second place. I led laps and all that good stuff. No, it's fun race. It's good being out here with everyone again, and I'm glad. Of course, we're broadcasted again. That's always fun too.
Did you ever feel like because you say it's the first race of the season and there's just a bunch of unknown names sitting around here, that when you fall back to like the 10th, 11th, 12th place area and you're kind of relying on Dan to help you with the fuel save, did you ever wonder, will he get through the same amount of cars as me? Will he be able to stick with me just in case that green flag stop or that green flag run that never actually happened played out, that he would actually be there to help you? Or did you feel like you were kind of stuck in the mid pack, whereas the guys up front may be able to pull out ahead of you?
Well, to go back, think about that. To be honest, I told him. He said before we went green, he's like, "You just you go, and I'll try to follow." I said, "Yeah, I'll try to make a way." And my what I was trying to do is just try to get back up front as quick as I could because I knew I had an advantage on him at that point. And it was safer to be up there. But yeah, a lot of new names, and it was a little interesting being back there in the pack after being up front. You kind of got to keep your head on a swivel. I'm sure they're saying the same thing about me barreling through there, but it's racing. Sometimes you take gambles and they pay off, and the fuel gamble, it paid off. Just didn't come away with the win in the end.
Yeah, it was a really good strategy. Like I said, just didn't quite pan out the way you're hoping to. But yeah, it was a great fight though. Like I said, you and Nick and Craig and all the guys. I mean, you guys were all going tooth and nail there at the end. It was a lot of fun to watch, and so you're definitely showing that there's gonna be a lot of fun to watch over the course of this season because it was. We nobody knew who was going to have a chance at that one. We had our guesses, but honestly, we knew there was like probably about at least 5 to 8 of you really that had a great chance at winning it. So I say you did great with your notes of what to say when you finish second. I'll say make sure you have your notes ready for when you get your win here. In this, I have a feeling it's not going to be too far away if you keep running the way you did there, man. So great job tonight, and definitely the one to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that runner up tonight.
Well, shout out to you guys up here in the booth, and Andrew. I love you, man. Always talk to Andrew a lot. No, 40 Racewear for sponsoring me. Make sure to go to 40racewear.com for all your sim related needs. Area 51 Racing. Let's see. Thank the wife for letting me race. She lets me do this more than I would think that she should let me, but I'm not going to complain. Other than that, everybody in the league, Nick for the win, good job. The whole team, we had a pretty good run tonight, and hopefully I get back up here, get to talk to you guys here soon.
All right, great job tonight, Chris. Looking forward to see more of you over the course of the season, man.
Thank you.
Nice job, Chris.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, that leaves us one fellow left to chat with. And right on cue, I say it's like we planned this. I say as soon as we switch the camera over to him, he's working on his burnouts. I say I have a feeling he's been practicing them because, all right, Nick, you knew broadcasting was coming back. That all important green light came out from the powers that be. We got the funding, and then I even mentioned because we were talking about all right, who do you think's going to get the one? I was like, man, we're broadcasting again. It's going to be Nick DeGroot, and say you proved me right here because. Yeah, I'll say when the show's on, this is where I feel like it's when you shine. But that move out of 3 there to get to the apron so he couldn't steal any draft off you down the front stretch, I think that was probably one of the moves to really seal that one tonight. But you had to work for it tonight. You're up and down a little bit this evening.
Oh yeah, it was a heck of a race from start to finish. And at the midpoint there, I was kind of shaking my head and going, Nick, what are you doing? I was just falling all the way back through the field. I had used up my tires more so because I abused the heck out of the weight jacker, and then I got a lucky second chance there with the time of that caution, threw us back to the front. And from that point, I think you could tell I didn't even care if I was leading. I just wanted to be one of the guys swapping. I'm like, I don't care. I just don't want to go backwards again. I don't care if I'm first, second, or even a 3-way draft. I just want to stay up here, stay with this clean air some way, somehow. And then at the end of it, we can battle it all out. But yeah, that was that was intense all the way through. I was not sure what was going to happen. Even coming out of turn 3, I'm like, do I have this? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think as somebody like you who has pretty much every record in Area 51 books, racing against someone like Bruno Miranda, who had quite a season last season, unbroadcasted, of course.
Yeah.
Like it should have been one of those things where you almost felt like you needed to put your stamp back on reality again. And I did notice that there were a couple times in the race where you kind of fell back a tiny bit, and you couldn't necessarily easily make your way back forward again. So was there any part of the race, like especially in the middle, once it became a caution fest, where you felt like it may have been, oh no, like I may not get back up front again, or I may have lost something in this first race? Or did you even feel like it was the first race, we'll just kind of let it play out and see what happens?
Oh no, I was panicking. I totally thought, oh man, I screwed this up. It's going to be hard to get back up there now. But the main thing I was really worried about was Bruno, because like you said, he's been dominating the last few seasons, and these are my best tracks, these bigger ovals, and I need to maximize them. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but at the end of the race, and nothing against Bruno, but anytime there was a draft that I could give to someone that wasn't Bruno, I was doing it. I did not want to be battling him on that last lap because he's just so dang good and so hard to beat.
That's the main reason for the question, because I definitely noticed that, especially in the dicier parts of the end of the race, it seemed like, especially when people were going kind of like 2, maybe 3 wide and into turn 3, trying to get that run down the front straightaway, it seemed like you and him were kind of close and giving each other just that tiny little bit of advantage, but just enough where the other driver gets the advantage down the straightaway. So it almost seemed like you were trying to stamp your authority a tiny bit, but you were a little, you had some trepidation towards it.
Yeah, a little bit. I also noticed, why he's won all these races and these championships, because there was a moment there when he was put in the middle 3 wide and he had no problem whatsoever just lifting out of it. And a lap later, boom, he's right back up there because he knows how to finish these races, and he just got a little unlucky there on the final lap with what happened there out of turn 3. But man, during that final caution, I was sitting there behind Bruno, and I was so mad that the caution came out when it did, because I'm like, I'm going to have to restart behind Bruno. I wanted to be the guy in second. He's going to pass Chris, and then good luck passing Bruno. And it just thankfully worked out for us the way it all went down.
Well, I'd say it was a really, really good race, like you said, and you guys were putting on a hell of a show there at the end. And yeah, so I don't know if you're rusty or not, but it's time to give you the floor, and you got any thanks and shouts for your win here tonight at Pocono.
First of all, thank you for Matt for quickly clarifying at the end of that caution period if we could go to that dangerous bumpy area down the back stretch, because I was curious about that. Wasn't sure if I was going to use it, and ended up having to dip the left sides under it when I passed Chris in the final lap. And oh man, that was rough. I'm glad I didn't have to put all 4 under, because I don't think the car would have survived that. But
that phantom bump that I mentioned in the broadcast, which Gael didn't know about.
It found at least one guy tonight.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be risky, but I just wanted to make sure it's completely legal to do that, right? And they're like, yeah, if you're crazy enough to do it, but if you wreck, that's on you. So again, thankfully it all worked out, but so thankful to be back on a broadcast. So thankful that IndyCar just overall is back on iRacing. It's so wonderful for everybody in this community. And thank you as always to Factory Back Motorsports, motorsport.com, and everybody else who supports us, Covymore.com, Canvas Shoes, and yeah, ready to go get another one. It feels good to win the first one.
All right, well, go celebrate, go enjoy this one, Nick. Great job tonight, and yeah, look forward to seeing you the rest of the way, man.
Thank you, guys. Awesome to be talking to you again.
And nice job, Nick.
Thanks. See you guys.
Oops. All right, that is our race winner in that number 89 of Nick DeGroot. And before we get to anything else, we got to go through our final results here tonight, because like I said, unfortunately, some of those results didn't quite reflect how the race went. Unfortunately, just that some stuff out of turn number 4, we'll put it that way nicely. But our final results here pulling up now. Nick DeGroot over Christopher by 0.03 of a second. Craig Forsyth there just a half second back. Dan Morera again, got the lucky dog, gets all the way back up to 4th there at the end. Jeff Heisong brings home a top 5. You got Alan Morera as well. He was upside down at one point. He brings it all the way back up into 6th. So great job by him. You got Michael Carrillo, Bruno Miranda, Eric Peterson, Michael Mata rounding out our top 10. And then Brad Adams and William Swenson rounding out our lead lap finishers. And unfortunately, those that did not have the finish they're looking for at the end, we saw at least a couple of them go flying there. Charles Teed, Matt Wagner, 13-14, Jim Herrick, Rick Sanchez, Edson Santos, and Elmer Joseph there in 18th. And we get to the last batch of our drivers. Unfortunately, not the nights they're hoping for towards the end, including AJ Hobson, Gary Lovern, Jim Brooks, Andrew McMurray, Bill Colley, and Joseph DeCiro there in 24th. But that's race 1 in the books here, Andrew. Say we shook off the rust, I feel like, pretty decently. And I don't think there's any rust to shake off for these drivers. They were going at it hot and heavy right off the bat tonight. And I'd like I said, maybe a few more yells than we were hoping for, but man, that was some exciting racing there tonight.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be back here. Just as Nick mentioned many times in his interview, we're back on iRacing. I feel like coming into tonight for my own self, I wasn't racing, but I was here chatting with you. I needed to definitely shake a bit of the rust off. And I think as time went on, I got a little more comfortable again. And I'm looking forward to commentating this whole season as best I can. And I'm very excited to see how this field stacks up. You have the guys like the Nicks and the Matts and the Craigs that have been around. They're legacy drivers. They've been here season after season. And then you got kind of the guys that are up and coming, like AJ Hobsons and the Eric Petersons and even the Bruno Mirandas, the guys that kind of made a splash, but they have to actually back up the legacy. And then you got guys like Elmer Joseph and Gary Lovern and Andrew McMurray, guys that are new to this league and they want to make a stand for themselves. And I do feel like at some point they're going to make a top 5, top 7 run here and show these guys here that they're ready to play. And I do feel like some of those guys have the ability to do that.
Oh no, we're gonna definitely have some great talent here, and it's gonna be I think a bit of a dogfight towards the rest of the season. So next week, go slightly smaller track, 1.5 miles at Homestead, should be interesting with the progressive banking. We'll see how it treats these Indy cars. Then we go to a road course of Donington Park before heading over to Michigan before our first break of the season, which is right around the Valentine's Day week. So for those that maybe are avoiding getting in trouble, say Craig did you solid and made sure that was an off week for you all. So appreciate you, Craig, for working on the schedule, and Matt, and getting everything squared away there. But so we'll be back in 1 week's time at Homestead. We'll be also back here in just 2 nights' time at Daytona Motor Speedway for the Xfinity Super Speedway Series. Boomer Logan calling the shots over there. So definitely stay tuned for that one. And Andrew, pleasure having you here. Like I said, I hate taking away from the driver's seat, but at the same time, I really love the insight you bring because you know these things so well. And as you just do a really, really good job with these things. So definitely glad to have you here to help me out. And definitely will take advantage of you in the booth as often as I'm able to.
Yeah, I definitely find a passion doing this as well, and I think we feed off each other pretty well. So keep the fans interested, keep growing our base here, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, so thank you all for watching, for supporting us here at Green White Checker TV. If you're interested in looking into some racing, be it Super Speedway or the Indy cars, Area51iRacing.com is the website for that. So again, we'll be back in 2 nights' time. Until then, hope you have a wonderful evening. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all on Thursday. Have a good night.